Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane, just as I promised I was going to do when I dropped that short video yesterday. It's not a short, but obviously it's a short video. It's 2 minutes and 19 seconds explaining Tom Aspinall, Cyril Gane, Merab versus Sandhagen, and then Yuri versus Roundtree. But the one matchup that I did not mention in that was Alex Pereira versus Ankalaev Part 2. Okay? That's the next matchup that is coming up right now. That is Part 2. So, is this rematch going to end any differently? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the differences of this matchup between the first time and what the second time may look in terms of, well, what is the preparation for Alex Pereira going into this fight as opposed to before? Now, I got to tell you, before Alex Pereira stepped in there with Ankalaev, he was active, right? Active to the point where it could have been very dangerous to his, well, a lot of risk that you would take fighting, period, right? But to do it at the rate that that he's doing it, it's absolutely insane, right? And I think this time Alex Pereira is going to have a little bit more preparation. I think that's important to understand, right? The preparation that he has going on for this one is going to determine the fight. Now, look, here's something you got to understand about Alex, right? Alex is a very powerful striker, right? He can crack, as they say, right? And he's done it over and over again. Now, why is it that he's not able to do this against Ankalaev? Well, look, Ankalaev is a technical striker, okay? Let me put this in boxing terms, right? Remember when Deontay Wilder fought Tyson Fury? When he fought Tyson Fury, it was known that Deontay Wilder was the heavy puncher, the knockout artist, the guy with the heavy hands, in comparison to Tyson Fury. Now, Tyson Fury can crack, he can finish people, but not at the capacity or at the high rate that Deontay Wilder has. I mean, we're talking about a guy that had 40 knockouts going into it, right? So when they finally fought, and when they fought for the second time around, one thing that I kind of noticed about that fight with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, I noticed that in the first fight, Tyson Fury was able to offset a lot of positions to where Deontay Wilder could be very powerful, right? He knew how to stay away from his right hand. He knew a way to stay from his left hand. He knew how to stay away from his power side. That is what Ankalaev was able to do with a heavy puncher like Alex Pereira. That's what he was able to do. So, Alex Pereira has to have a different plan going into this, okay? If he wants to win, he needs to wrestle a little bit. And here's one thing that I've noticed about Alex Pereira. We've never really seen him take on any wrestling initiatives from the very beginning, right? He never really started to put on any of these wrestling clinics or anything like that. So, Ankalaev as well. You don't really see that with Ankalaev either. I don't know why. Obviously, there's a couple of reasons why. He's a striker. Ankalaev feels more comfortable striking, but we don't know if he'll initiate any wrestling takedowns in this, right? But we shall see. Let's go and see what. Let's see if Dana White made a formal announcement for these fights. I know these fights are already in there, but let's play these announcements right here.
T-Mobile, Las Vegas, the champ, UFC 320, October 4th, T-Mobile, Las Las Vegas, the champ. Magomed Ankalaev defends his belt against Alex Pereira. Ankalaev hasn't lost in 7 years. He has the second longest win streak in the UFC light heavyweight
On the early
division
grind
behind
again. That's right, Marty Miller. Shout out to you, my man.
Jones, the GOAT. Let the hate begin. Pereira, former 2-division champ, 10 of his 12 wins have come by knockout, and he has the highest striking accuracy in the light heavyweight division. The co-main event for that fight will be Merab versus Corey Sandhagen. Merab is on a 13-fight win streak.
Now, what's up with that, right? What's up with Merab getting a co-main event slot? I mean, does anybody find that a little bit offensive for Merab? Now, look, I'm not the biggest Merab fan. In fact, I damn near hate him for beating, Umar Nurmagomedov, right? But at the same time, man, listen, he deserves a main event slot. Now, let me know in the comment section if you agree that Merab deserves a main event slot. Extreme Jackson. Jackson Extreme says, hi, how are you, Jackson Extreme? First time I've seen you here. Everybody, don't forget to like and subscribe. And also, welcome Jackson Extreme to the chat with us, because we're going to discuss all these matchups that are going on right now.
Sandhagen's ranked number 3. Another badass fight on that card is Yuri Prochazka.
A says hi. A. Shout outs to A. Letter A with the, by the way, the letter A is my favorite letter in the alphabet. So shout outs to you, my man.
Versus Khalil Roundtree.
And of course, we discussed Yuri and Khalil Roundtree yesterday briefly on that video. I urge you guys to check that out. Damar Ball says, hey, what's going on, brother? How are you, Mr. Damar Mall? Damar Bell. Let me know what part of the world you guys are from, and thank you for tapping in. Everybody around the world, yeah, please let me know what part of the world you are from and represent your section.
I don't need to say anything else. For those of you that know, you know. That is a badass fight.
All right, man. Colorado. We got Colorado in the house right now, man. Shout out to Damar Bell from Colorado, my man. Thank you for tapping in, and please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, because we're going to talk about all of these matchups. And then we got A from Massachusetts. That's what I'm talking about. East Coast in the house. We got East Coast, Midwest, Mountain Region, and of course, your boy right here from Sacramento, representing the West Side, representing the West Coast right here. Welcome to Kyrie Abu El-Kheer MMA, Sacramento, California, represent. Drizzy Goat says, Robert Whittaker is trash, bro. He's going to get finished by D. Ritter. Yeah, that's right, man. He's going to fight this weekend, right? Damar Ball says, no problem, bro. Thanks for the shout out. For sure, man. For sure. Always appreciate the people that come in here. Drizzy Goat says the Pirate winner by KO. You know what, Drizzy Goat? We will do a prediction show for UFC Abu Dhabi right now. So, well, not right now, but within this live stream. So we're going to talk about the breaking news matchups. We're going to talk about John Jones, where he's at, what he wants to do, and things of that nature. And then we're going to talk about UFC Abu Dhabi in its full card entirety. So here we go.
It'll be a fun one. Let's see. Also, we got the Contender Series coming back on Tuesday of that week. Is that what we're saying? Yeah.
Dana White's announcing a Contender Series matchup. Okay.
So that week's pretty badass week. We got those fights that I just mentioned. The Contender Series is coming back. And we got UFC BJJ 3 on Thursday, Power Slap 15 on Friday, and 320 on Saturday. So,
all right, so he's talking about Power Slap and BJJ and all these other stuff. I don't care. Okay, Yuri beats down Clowntree. So you know what? I think that he will get beat. I think Yuri will get beat. I'm going to have to disagree with you on that, Drizzy Goat. The reason why I say that he's going to get beaten this is because he's so unorthodox, right? And sometimes unorthodoxy works. Now, listen, sometimes matchups, favor one guy over the other. This is a matchup where the elusive and the, what's the word I'm looking for here? Unconventional striker in Yuri versus the very conventional striker in Roundtree, there's going to be a huge difference, right? And the difference is that Roundtree is going to be a lot more disciplined in his striking, whereas Yuri is going to make a lot of mistakes. And within these mistakes, this is where I think Khalil Roundtree shines the most, right? He's got this traditional Muay Thai stance, very disciplined, has his hands up at all times, right? Has his knee pointed to the ground at all times. You know, that traditional Muay Thai stance, ready to check the kicks. And as a result, I think that he's going to knock him out. I really do. I think that Khalil Roundtree could potentially knock out Yuri. So, but we shall see. And you know what? My prediction of that may change later down the road, of course. So, yeah, we will see one way or the other. Okay, so the Drizzy Goat says, I got Big Ankalaev by KO over No Shama. By the way, man, I'm going to be honest with you, and you guys let me know your opinion on this, right? I really hate the Nina drama, you know, segments that she does. I really hate the fact that she tries to make the sport look fun and, you know, what is the word I'm looking for here? Inclusive to everybody and this and that. Dude, I don't really want all of that in MMA. Let me know your comment section. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. But I think Nina drama is annoying. I think that it's, you know, not within the ethos of the sport of MMA, right? MMA is supposed to be a sport full of roughnecks, you know, rough guys, tough guys, thugs. And I know that sounds controversial to say, but man, listen, you know, it's not for me. You know what? Like, Nina drama would be perfect for the world of baseball, or maybe even covering NBA, right? Like, they need that type of personality in that kind of sport, but not in the world of fighting. Yeah, okay, so Drizzy Goat says he's got Ankalaev over Shama. F15, shout out to you, man. I haven't seen you in a while in here. I'm scared of Alex Pereira KO Ankalaev. Yeah, I am too, right? You know, Alex is always dangerous. Alex is always dangerous. Drizzy Goat says Merab versus Corey is a joke. Merab by whatever he wants. Now, not so fast, because that matchup is a lot more competitive than you would like to imagine, and I'm going to explain why. I'm going to explain as the stream goes on. F15 says, Alex Pereira, black magic didn't work because we were in Ramadan, but this time the black magic will work on Big Ankalaev. You know what, F15? There's, I'm going to mark your comment on that one, F15. I'm going to tell you why. There's a religious component to what you just said there, okay? And it's very important to bring this up. Let me read this comment again, and I'm going to read to all your comments, okay? F15 says, Alex Pereira's black magic didn't work because we were in Ramadan, but this time the black magic will work on Ankalaev. So this gets into a religious component of this question right here, or this comment. So during Ramadan, all the evil spirits, the jinns, the Satanist influence, all of that is locked up during Ramadan. Okay, this is according to the Quran and the Sunnah and the Hadith. So all the evil spirits during Ramadan is locked up, right? So you are protected. And it is no wonder that every Muslim after Ramadan, they start to notice that their household gets a little bit more chaotic. Next thing you know, they start getting into car accidents just right after Ramadan. Next thing you know, bad things start to happen. Next thing you know, calamity starts falling upon you. So that is a result of the angels being away and the gates of hell being opened. Because during Ramadan, the gates of hell are closed. So whatever sin you commit, it is upon you and the bad habits that you've created. So a little religious component to this situation right here. Conor McGregor, the fake Conor McGregor. Shout out to you, my man. Conor McGregor says, build an ideal UFC 321 pay-per-view. Okay, So check this out, right? What do we have for UFC 321 pay-per-view? We only have Tom Aspinall so far, right? So let's build a UFC 321 pay-per-view. Because so far, the only thing that we have is, okay, we have Alexander Volkov taking on Jailton Almeida on that same card. How interesting, okay? Good heavyweight matchup. We got Alexander Rakic versus Azmat Nurmagomedov. Okay, so he's the smaller light heavyweight. And then we got Mitch Rapuso taking on Azmat Maksum. Okay, so who else would I put on that 321 card? Okay, now suppose Khamzat gets a win over DDP and does it in the first round. Let's put him in there straight away. So I would put on the co-main event, right? I would put Khamzat versus Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa in the co-main event for the 185 belt. So now you got 185 belt, 265-pound belt, all on the line, co-main event, main event, and then the supporting role of that heavyweight matchup, obviously, of Volkov and Jailton Almeida, and then you got Rakic versus Azmat, and then Mitch Rapuso and Azmat Maksum. So who else? How about Patricio Pitbull? Throw him in there, right? Who do you throw him in there at 145? How about John Silva, right? You guys want to see John Silva against Pitbull? I think that would be a pretty interesting matchup. But let's see how where John Silva has been. So he fought Bryce Mitchell, hasn't fought since. Yeah, put him in there. John Silva against. So yeah, that's what I would go with. John Silva versus Pitbull, Patricio, and then yeah, so that would be the main event pay-per-view. That would be the main card pay-per-view right there. Volkov, Jailton Almeida, Khamzat, or maybe even DDP if he wins against Paulo Costa for the 185 belt, and then Alexander Volkov versus Jailton Almeida, Rakic versus Azmat, and then John Silva versus Pitbull. So yeah, that would be the ideal pay-per-view right there, right? I mean, just putting Khamzat in there as a champion would make sense because obviously he's in close proximity to the Middle East, and being that it's a Muslim country, yeah, it would be an ideal card. So shout out to Conor McGregor for that question. Chris says, I'm going for Robert Whittaker, but I think the judges will put D. Ritter over by decision. That is if the if the fight remains to a non-finish, right? I think this fight is going to, end with a finish in some kind of capacity. Fresh Melon Juice says, we want Fedor in and out, not a word. You want Fedor, so in other words, you want Fedor to come in to the UFC and fight just one time. You know what? Here's the thing, right? You know how people say that Fedor never fought in the UFC? I disagree with that notion because think about this, right? Pride FC was bought by the UFC. So therefore, all of that counts as a UFC fight. You know the fights that Donald Cerrone had? The majority of those fights were WEC and they counted it as a UFC fight. So how come Pride FC is not counted as a UFC fight? Is it because it's not fought in a cage perhaps? But at the same time, it was the premier mixed martial arts organization of the time. So I would say, yeah, Fedor has had UFC experience via Pride FC, and that's what I'm going to go with in that particular take. Drizzy Goat says, you got to chill on the Nina, you got to chill on Nina, bro. That's my girl. Man, listen, you're kind of delving into, the line of simpantry a little bit there, Drizzy Goat, but it's all good. You're still my man. F15 says, Tom Aspinall KO by 4th round. You know what? I like that take, okay? I am predicting a finish. I'm not sure if it's going to be a knockout or submission because Tom can do either, right? But I will say that he will have to work a little bit harder than John Jones in order to finish him, right? Styles make fights, and I think that when it comes to styles make fights, yeah, it's going to be a lot more difficult for Cyril Gane to finish, for Tom Aspinall to finish Cyril Gane in that particular matter. Tekken, shout out to Tekken. First time I've seen him in here. Alex beats Ank, moves up and fights John to heavyweight. Very interesting. Okay, does bad stuff happen to you during Ramadan? No, in fact, oh, okay, does bad stuff happen to you after Ramadan? No, it doesn't, but I noticed that life gets harder, right? But I do notice good things, a lot of good things happen to me during Ramadan. Like, for example, if I get on a live stream during Ramadan, most of my biggest videos have been during Ramadan, right? So I don't know if that's any coincidence or if that is the Almighty giving me a sign. One of my biggest videos that I've ever did was covering Ryan Garcia versus Gervonta Tank Davis. And that was during a Ramadan season, right? That fight happened during Ramadan. So it was, yeah, man. That's just from my own anecdotal evidence and my own anecdotal experience. It is Allah who knows best. So, yeah, very interesting question, Tech. And shout out to you. Let me know what part of the world you are from. Fresh Melon Juice says Cyril Gane has taken in Pantoja in his camp to mimic Tom Aspinall's style and strength for sparring. Oh, my goodness. Fresh Melon Juice, you hate Pantoja so bad. It's so hilarious how you hate Pantoja so bad that you want to see him get annihilated by these superhuman-sized, giants. It is so insane. I don't know what Pantoja did to you. I don't know if he was your Uber driver at one point where you had a bad experience with him, but you really got it out for Pantoja, bro. What did Pantoja ever do to you, bro? This dude lived a very tough life. Okay, you know the story of Pantoja, right? The guy's dad rejected his whole entire family, went with another woman because because they didn't have money or whatever, so he decided to go with a woman who was rich from the other side of town. I'm talking about Pantoja's dad, and totally left his family. I mean, it's like an absolute tragic story that this guy has gone through, and you're over here like trying to match him up with huge dudes. It's insane. Drizzy Goat says Patty versus Gaethje would be a good fight. I agree. That would be a good fight. I don't know if Patty has signed up to fight anyone yet, but let's see, right? But that would be a good matchup to see him next. Tekken says, I hope that Gane makes a good account of himself on that night because he's got potential. Now, when you mean a good account of himself, do you mean that you don't mind him losing, but at the same time, while you don't mind him losing, you also don't mind him sort of doing okay? So, I don't know, like, you want him to win or you just want him to lose but look good? Let me know and elaborate on that if you will. F15 says Merab will win by accident. Let me tell you, everything that Merab does is not by accident, right? The rinse and repeat cycle that he does with shooting in takedowns on you after takedowns, yeah, it's not anything short of an accident. In fact, everything that he does is methodical. Drizzy Goat says, LOL, I simp for Nina, bro. She's one of them ones. LOL, her and Val. I don't know who Val is. Fresh Melon Juice says, Mike Miocic is also in the Cyril Gane's camp, teaching him to take Aspinall's leg with him home. Okay. Tekken says, the UK, man. Shout outs to the UK, man. I got a lot of supporters in the UK, a lot of supporters in Wales, a lot of Irish supporters. Shout outs to the Irish. Shout outs to who else in Europe supports my channel. So we got Ireland, the UK, Scotland. I get a lot of Scottish people that come in here. Shout out to all you guys in the UK, man. You guys love fighting the way I do, and I'm glad I'm able to, platform myself and, talk to people around the world with these types of things. Oh, okay, so Drizzy Goat meant Valentina Shevchenko when he says Val. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so Cyril Gane is a chump according to Drizzy Goat. Chris says the Russian guy Volkov got robbed by Gane. Yeah, and you know, that's strange, isn't it? He got robbed by Gane only for him to be in the same card as Gane and being, his undercard, which is insane, right? Aged like fine wine. Who aged like fine wine? Drizzy Goat. Fresh Melon Juice says Cyril Gane is lazy or distracted. Okay, very interesting take. John said pre-fight he's not making moves, playing football or basketball versus Cyril Gane is. Joe was focused on fighting and it showed. He was focused on finishing Cyril Gane for sure, right? Now, I don't know what you mean by lazy. You care to elaborate on what you mean by Cyril Gane being lazy, right? Because it is quite strange to call these, hyper super professional athletes and one of the best fighters in the world lazy, right? Obviously, there's a different context to that meaning. There's a different meaning to what you are, trying to convey with that. But yeah, let me know on the comment section below what you mean by that exactly. So I got to tell you, right, I think the... oh, hold on, let me read this right here. Cyril is making movies, playing other sports instead of focusing. Oh, that's right. That's right. That is right. Listen, that is right. Yes, I've seen Cyril Gane in 2 French movies so far, right? The first one, I believe it was an MMA movie, right? It was a French MMA movie where John Jones plays himself, Cyril Gane plays himself, and then the second time around, he's playing in some French gangster movie. All of it is on Netflix, by the way, which I think is brilliant on the part of UFC's PR marketing machine, right? Because think about this. For a long time, they knew that John Jones was going to departure from the UFC. As a result of knowing that John Jones was going to departure from the UFC, they had to make power moves. And what were some of those power moves that they needed to do? Well, number one, they needed to promote Cyril Gane. How are they going to do that? Well, there's going to be a potential Netflix deal with ESPN and with the UFC, and maybe even go back to Fox Sports or have a portion of their broadcast in Fox Sports, the way that they have UFC fights in ABC, like what you're going to see this weekend in UFC Abu Dhabi. So they put him in Netflix movies to promote him, to make him look significant, because they need to do that in order to build up the Tom Aspinall fight. So I kind of see the game of what's going on here. Fresh Melon Juice says, Nina Drama is part of UFC's marketing machine. Are they brilliant or morons? Okay, so that's a very good question, Fresh Melon Juice. I'm going to pin that comment right there, okay? I'm going to pin that comment, and I'm going to explain why your comment just got pinned and why it's important. The reason why it is good for the marketing machine, okay? Because right now, I got to tell you, the UFC is dominated, at least in the American audience-wise, right? The UFC is dominated by right-wing ideals. And that's not a surprise, because martial arts is about discipline, which often attracts right-wing conservative people. And it's also the reason why Muslims dominate mixed martial arts, because it is a game of extreme discipline, and there is no extreme discipline in the world quite like the Islamic faith, right? And that's just the God honest truth. And I'm not saying that as a Muslim myself. I'm saying that as a known fact. If you compare it to other faiths, right? There is no extreme way of discipline than that of the Islamic faith. I mean, you look at the fasting comparison to, let's say, the fasting of, the Catholics, where you only not eat meat for like a certain amount of days, as in comparison to not eating for some odd 16 to 18 hours or so, this, that, and the other, right? Only for people to find out that intermediate fasting with its same trajectory of trying to refrain from eating for a certain amount of time. Yeah, that has something to do with it. So what I'm saying is that it's not a sport for everybody. It is a sport for everybody when you put it in the White House. It is a sport for everybody when Conor McGregor has a fight going on and all the Irish that know nothing about MMA start deciding to, butt in on the particular subject and talk about it. But overall, if it's not Conor McGregor, if it's not anything that deals with Donald Trump being in attendance, if it's not anything that deals with a superstar that captures the imagination of, let's say, the mainstream audience, I mean, nobody is really messing with mixed martial arts like that. Nobody is really connected to mixed martial arts like that. We are. I'm going to tell you something. We are, because we're hardcore fans, and guess what? They already got us, right? We're going to watch every fights every Saturday. We're going to buy all the pay-per-views, this, that, and the other. They're not talking to us. They're trying to get to a different core of audience. So as unfriendly of an audience as mixed martial arts is, Nina Drama is the quintessential force of the opposite for those things. So she is needed in that sense. Now, as far as the culture of mixed martial arts that I know it to be, I honestly don't think that it's the kind of product that is that should feature MMA. Look, man, these are MMA fighters, right? I don't want to see these guys doing all these stupid dance routines, all these stupid TikTok dances that they do. I don't want to see none of that, right? This is a sport of killers, thugs, and and bandits. That's really what it is. And I know that doesn't sound, very appealing, or it doesn't sound very welcoming, but this is not a welcoming sport for everybody, and that's just the God honest truth about it. And Nina Drama's MMA content is purposely made to try and offset those notions. Okay, so what did he? Yeah, Nina Drama is part of UFC marketing. Are they brilliant or morons? That is what I answered right there. Nina Drama brings good vibes to the UFC. She's a great personality. Okay, well that's different strokes for different folks, right? Drizzy Goat says, facts, bro. That's why I'm Muslim. Good discipline. Okay. Fresh Melon Juice says, Muslims dominate because they have fighting and America have football as the primary sport. Okay, that is very true, and it is quite more lucrative in mainstream sports. The best men are not fighting in the USA. I agree with that. Sean Strickland has mentioned this before, right? Obviously, the pay that they give to fighters, that can be lucrative, right? A 10-10 contract can be lucrative for a fighter in Dagestan, for a fighter in Russia, for a fighter in Brazil, for a fighter in the Philippines, for a fighter in Indonesia, or a fighter in Thailand, right? Those are all lucrative salaries, but it's not for a U.S. fighter that, quite frankly, has a higher cost of living in this part of the world. So Drizzy Goat says, Nina said Jesus is a prophet, bro, so she's smart as well. Okay, well, I tell you what, a broken clock is right how many times a day? Okay, so just saying, Nina makes the fighter. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That is exactly what I'm saying, man. That's what I don't like. I don't like fighters looking gay. I don't like fighters looking, any of that, right? I don't like them looking soft. I don't like seeing fighters show their soft side or this and that, and all this other feminine bullshit. I'm not with all that, right? That's not what this sport is about. But if they want to make it like that, then yeah. Yin yang, bro. That's what it is. Ping pong, bro. Fresh Melon Juice says, The Punisher. Shout out to The Punisher. By the way, I like your screen name and your I like your screen name and your profile pic. Pereira getting it done. Marab and Jiri are my picks. Okay, I agree almost with those picks except for Yuri. I don't know why. Look, I don't like Khalil Roundtree. I don't like all this Satanist stuff that he's got going on. And quite frankly, the guy is a spoiled kid who became an emo, right? If you guys didn't know, his dad was the manager of Boys to Men, which is insane because, he's anything but of an R&B character, right? He's more of like a metal emo type of guy, but interesting nonetheless, but not my type of guy, but he will beat Yuri nonetheless. So, Yeah, I almost agree with your picks except for Yuri. I think Roundtree got that one because Yuri makes too much mistakes, so I don't know if I would trust him on that one. Drizzy Goat says, fresh. My meaning is balance is key. No need to be hard all the times. There's times for fun and there's times for business. Okay, so here's the thing about that, Drizzy Goat. I know fighters are capable of that side, right? The problem is I don't want to see any of that on TV. I don't want to see any of that on YouTube. I don't want to see any of that in a public setting. Of course, fighters are sensitive. Of course, fighters cry. Of course, fighters have emotions and things of that nature. I don't like seeing that in the public eye to where people can look at that and all of a sudden use that against them. For example, look, you've seen Daniel Cormier cry in front of the world, right? And then next thing you know, you got Snoop Dogg. I mean, shout out to Snoop Dogg, real OG of the game and this, that, and the other. But he made fun of Daniel Cormier for crying. I mean, look, man, no disrespect to Snoop Dogg, but the dude doesn't even look like he could do 50 push-ups straight, right? And he's over here making fun of a super athlete of a man in Daniel Cormier who cried because he was beaten by the best guy to ever do it in John Jones, right? So that is why I don't like fighters showing any vulnerability because it's just, feminine bullshit that they're trying to impose on people, and that's just not, I'm just not with all that. You know what I mean? I'm not with all that. If you guys like it, that's fine. Obviously, it's America by the end of the day. You have your own freedom of speech. You have your own freedom of choice. My choice is I'd rather not see that. But, yeah. Okay, so, Drizzy Goat says, okay, fun, okay. Fresh Melon Juice says, at Drizzy, would you kiss the wall in Israel? Drizzy Goat says, Fresh, I'm free Palestine. All right. Fresh Melon Juice says balance. The Punisher says, what about Tom and Gane? Also Bryce and said, who you got, brother? Who is Bryce fighting? Let me know on the comment section below who Bryce is fighting. So with Tom and Cyril Gane, I made a brief prediction on that with a 2-minute video that I dropped yesterday. You guys can check it out. If not for the predictions, just for the scenery that I have in the background. But I did pick Tom, and I picked Tom for a late finish somewhere in the 3rd or 4th round. I did say submission, but I would not put it past Tom to knock him out because, well, I don't know, man. I think it would be a lot harder to knock out Cyril Gane. Obviously, John Jones didn't try that route. He took him down straight away and submitted him and called it a day. So, Saeed Nurmagomedov. Oh, yeah, that's right. He's going down to 135. Okay. So, fair, bro, he says. The Punisher says, God damn, this guy's spitting facts. You gain a subscriber, brother. Hey, thank you so much, The Punisher. Shout out to The Punisher right here. Let me know what part of the world you are from, The Punisher. And, everybody on the chat, please give a warm welcome to The Punisher. By the way, probably one of my favorite, Marvel characters right next to Captain America. So I like Captain America and The Punisher. So, yeah, that's my go-to guys right there. Yeah, so Bryce is going to lose. He says, yeah, obviously I'm going to have to go. Look, I like Bryce. I like Bryce when he's not fighting Dagestani fighters. And you know what? I like this fight with him and Nurmagomedov because, look, I think he's going to bring a religious aspect into it. He's going to bring a crusader mentality into this fight because, Bryce is, a right-wing Christian, right? So he's going to fight a Muslim guy in Saeed Nurmagomedov. And, the Dagestanis are very religious, Salafi, driven Muslims, right? So there's going to be a component of conservative Christian versus a conservative Muslim type of feel to it. But if we break down the fight in and of itself, the wrestling of Saeed Nurmagomedov is going to be too much for Bryce. I think Bryce is cutting way too much weight. I think he's going to be affected by the weight cut, and he's going to look a lot slower at 135. Oh, The Punisher says he's from UAE. Shout out to you, my man. See, so I not only got fans in Ireland, I got fans in the UAE. I've had a few Saudis come in here as well. I've got a lot of Russians that came in here as well. Speaking of Russian, yeah, speaking of Russian, there's a Russian name right here. I obviously don't read in Russian, but yeah, let me know what your name is in English so that I can, you know, properly address you. But yeah, the Russian guy right here says, in the last interview, Khabib said that Madalena will be the hardest opponent of Makhachev. I agree with this. I think that Topuria will be the hardest opponent of Makhachev. What do you think? I think there's a size difference there, right? The size difference is going to make Ilia Topuria a lot easier. JDM is difficult because he's got great boxing. He really knows how to use his length, and not only that, knows how to stuff the takedowns. But the minute that Islam Makhachev is able to take down JDM, I think you're going to see a rinse and repeat cycle over and over again as the fight goes on. But yeah, man, I can't wait for that one. Melon Goose is scared. Marty Miller says, you see Bryce talking about changing rooms over there? No, let me know what you mean by that, Marty Miller. That's an interesting one. What does he mean by that? Fresh Melon Juice says, at Marty Miller, yeah, he's something. Marty Miller says, I can't stand Nina Fresh. I agree. Drizzy Goat says, fan from New Zealand. It's cold here, boy. Hey, Drizzy Goat from New Zealand. So we got New Zealand in the house. We got England, Ireland. We got the UAE. And who else do we have in here? Obviously, the United States. So the Punisher says, Islam is having problems with making weight. Do you think he might be able to see Islam versus Ilya for the lightweight title next year? If that fight is going to happen, it is going to be for the lightweight title because, yes, Islam Makhachev is having problems gaining weight, right? His body is not made to gain a certain amount of weight, very similar to GSP. In fact, he has a body that's very similar to GSP. GSP should have been fighting 155 this whole entire time. He could have made 155 if he wanted, but you know, unfortunately, you know, he decided to move up a weight. Michael Bisping was there. He knew that Michael Bisping was easy pickings for him to win and got the 185 belt and then started losing weight again after gaining the 185 belt and vacating it. So, yeah, Islam has the same problem. So if that fight is going to happen to Punisher, it's going to be at 155 at most. Okay, so Drizzy Goat says, Islam subs Jack de la Madalena. If he gets him down, and Jack is put in a helpless place where he's constantly being grinded, having all of his energy levels zapped from the grappling exchanges, yes, that is an absolute possibility. Fresh Melon Juice says, at Marty Miller, she's always trying to reach the next level, and it gets so cringe. She's all about the numbers. Fresh Melon Juice, explain what you mean by always trying to reach the next level, because obviously I'm not familiar with her content. I don't watch it. Sometimes I do if, you know, if there's anybody that's compelling there that I wish to see. But yeah, let me know what you mean by that so that I can further elaborate on that. Drizzy Goat says Ankalaev KO's Poetan. I agree. Drizzy Goat says all W's. I agree. Marty Miller says 100% Melon. Marty Miller says Bry posted a video about being naked in a changing room over there and how 6 Muslims almost beat him up because of it. Okay, so, oh yeah, so you see, this is exactly what I'm talking about right here. Okay, so I'm going to pin Marty Miller's comment right here. This is important right here. So, now we got to fight, okay? I know that the Omar and the Bryce Mitchell fight has already been announced, but now we got to fight, okay? Now we have a fight. You see this right here, yes. Look, I'll give you an example, okay? I know a homie of mine, okay, who's a Muslim convert, right? He grew up Western, he grew up playing basketball, he grew up in LA, right? Garden Grove, to be exact. He grew up in Garden Grove. For those of you that don't know anything about Garden Grove, the famous Long Beach band by the name of Sublime, right? The 90s band Sublime. You guys know Sublime, right? They made a song called Garden Grove, right? And yeah, that's where this guy is essentially from. It's a place where there's a lot of skaters, there's a lot of skateboarders, a lot of surfers, a lot of, you know, the stereotypical suburban California type. Then he meets me, he becomes a Muslim, okay, like, and I'm not talking about just any regular Muslim, becomes very, very conservative. And by the way, this is a guy that I've trained with over the years, by the way, right? I've trained with him over the years and has made me, you know, a better athlete, you know, has helped me with some fights and things of that nature. So one day we're at the gym, he sees a bunch of guys get naked, right? Now, if you guys have been to a public gym, you guys know that this is normal. Well, I'm not going to say it's normal behavior for me, but I don't know why guys do that. When they're in the gym, they literally, like, instead of covering themselves, right, they'll just literally walk around naked. And if you've been around sports in high school, if you've been in the military, this is kind of normal, right? You know, especially in the military, right? If you've ever been to basic training, it's like, you know, you're in there stripped naked and this and that, and you're in front of everybody, this, that, and the other. Okay, so this is a normal thing. But in the Muslim world, obviously not, right? Like, we don't want to see a bunch of dudes naked with your, you know, shrimp hanging out and this, that, and the other. We don't want to see none of that, right? So, of course, man, you know, of course, this is going to be a conflict in and of itself. And yeah, it is going to offend a lot of people that are sensible Muslims. Now, here's the thing. If Bryce is such a conservative in the way that he says he is, then I don't know why he would feel the need to, you know, walk around naked like that. It doesn't seem like a very conservative ideals, but you got to understand conservative American Christian ideals are different than that of conservative Islamic ideals. And quite frankly, that is the reality of that. So Marty Miller says Bryce posted, okay, so Jack is like DDP of the welterweight. He can also win by falling anvil. I don't know about that. I think the striking of Jack is a little bit more seasoned. And by the way, when we get to the DDP versus Khamzat fight, I'm going to explain what it is that makes what's his name, Dricus look like the way that he does in his striking, right? There's an element to why his striking looks weird. I'm going to elaborate on that as time goes on and as that fight draws closer. Fresh Melon Juice says, Nina Drama going for the next level shock value. Okay, I see what you mean. Okay. Honored. Shout outs to Honored. Kassan Magomed Sharapov. Marty Miller says, yeah, just walked around naked in YMCA old head move. You know what? That's an interesting take that you said, right? It is usually the old men that do that, right? And, you know, I don't often see the young guys do that in the gym, but it is often, you know, like the older guys, like we're talking like from 50s all the way to like senior citizen, well, they'll just walk around naked in the gym locker rooms like, you know, like as if it's nothing, right? So I don't know. Yeah, for me, yeah, it is offensive to me and this, that, and the other, but I don't know, like, I don't say anything if, you know, if a guy's walking around like that. I just look the other way and just assume that they are not there, right? As long as they don't, you know, come close to me in any kind of way or try to hug me. Imagine if some dude that was, you know, full blown, you know, in the birthday suit and all trying to hug you, man, get the F off me, bro. You know what I mean? Like that would be my initial response straight up. Marty Miller says, yeah, just walk. Okay. Fresh Melon Juice says, at Honored Khabib Abdul Nurmagomedov, I win. Okay. Punisher redacted statement. Let me know what. Yeah, we don't want to see your shrimp. Marty Miller says, yeah. The reason why I say that is because that same guy that I was telling you about that I helped convert into Islam, you know, when he became, you know, very conservative and we started, you know, going to the gym and seeing people do that. Yeah, that's what he would describe it as. I don't know why these dudes are walking around with their little shrimps, this, that, and the other. So yeah, man, that's really what it is. So what else is in UFC 320? Let's take a look at what else is in the cards for UFC 320 here. So still to be announced. That's going to be in the T-Mobile Arena, but right now, yeah, that's the only fights that you have right there. Alex Pereira, Merab, and Jiri. Those are the only fights that you have, and that's not until October. So that fight right there is in the same time slot as when Khabib and Conor fought, because obviously they fought in October 6th. So it seems that it is a yearly thing for them to go back to Las Vegas right around that time. So yeah, this event was originally supposed to take place in Guadalajara, Mexico on September 13th. So there is no September 13th card after all, from what I assume, right? Because, oh, okay, wait, no, there is a September card. It's going to be Diego Lopez versus John Silva. Okay, so there it was. I was trying to match up John Silva against Pitbull earlier, and then here comes Diego Lopez. So the Punisher says, is there a co-main event for Abu Dhabi fight night? Well, so far it is only the 321. There is no official there is no official co-main event. But when somebody asked me earlier, build your perfect UFC 321 pay-per-view, I did add Khamzat and Paulo Costa as a co-main event for that one, with the anticipation and with my own prediction of Khamzat winning that fight against DDP. So Fresh Melon Juice says 320, 2/3 of a joint a day. All right, those are some interesting math numbers you pulled up there, Fresh Melon Juice. Very interesting. Okay, so let's hear what the rest of what Dana White has to say here. He says, no, 320 is 3/4 of a joint a day. All right, very interesting math for you there. A little word play on your math there.
Is if you're going to come to that fight, you should come in all week. Come in all week and hang out with us. It's a badass week for combat sports. All right, now, UFC 321, October 21st, October 25th, Etihad Arena in Abu Dhabi. Tom Aspinall will face Cyril Gane. Aspinall has 15 wins, and all of them are by finish. Gane is the #1 ranked heavyweight. You can go to tickets go on sale this Friday. EtihadArena.ae or Ticketmaster.ae. UFC 320, October 4th, T-Mobile.
Okay, so yeah, those are the official announcements that Dana White has. He just did it over the phone, right, on a vertical recording, and yeah. Look at this. Speaking of, see, you guys got me talking about drama, and then here it is right here with the algorithm sort of listening to me. He says, why are you always drinking whiskey during the lives? This is not whiskey, brother. This is coffee, brother. I drink coffee. I don't drink whiskey, brother. I do not drink. Brother, I do not drink, brother. No, 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 no. No, no. It's coffee, brother. It is coffee. It is coffee. Okay. So, what else? Dana White shows off over $2 million of, wow, okay, from Complex. All right, let's see. What else did I say that I was gonna? Yeah, drinking is haram. It is. It is absolutely haram. But yeah, I drink coffee. By the way, coffee was haram by the Pope, right? I don't know what century it was, but I remember obviously because the Arabs were the ones that discovered coffee, right? And so I think the Pope, I'm not sure which Pope or what century, but deemed it, a Muslim drug at one point, right? Now the whole world, drinks coffee, and one of the biggest coffee companies, Starbucks, is owned by a Jew. So there you go. All right, so Fresh Melon Juice says, listening to hip hop is haram. You know what? If you want to go there, all music is haram if you really think about it, right? The only music that, is really allowed in Islam is that of Islamic nasheeds or recitings of the Quran, right? Marty Miller says, what a great fight announcement by Dana. Yeah, you know what? Dana White is very lackluster in the way that he announces things, right? And it sort of reflects in how he wants entrances to be. For example, oh man, I'm gonna go into the Dustin Poirier and the Lil Wayne, walkout right now. That's what I'm about to do right now. Okay, so I'm gonna add this into the description right now. Okay, so in 55 minutes of this live stream, I'm going to talk about Dustin Poirier's lackluster lackluster. Okay, so that's the next topic I'm going to talk about right here in 20 seconds from now, okay? Because I like to be exact into the timestamp. So I'm going to have this timestamp, Dustin Poirier's lackluster entrance with Lil Wayne in 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, has anybody seen the lackluster entrance of Dustin Poirier with Lil Wayne? And this kind of reflects Dana White's lackluster mindset of walkouts and non-extravagant ways that he tries to promote the UFC. Now, obviously, it's not professional wrestling, but at the same time, there's some things that professional wrestling does right when it comes to entrances, when it comes to promotional presentations and things of that nature. We didn't even get a Lil Wayne song mixed in with a Dustin Poirier song at all. We didn't get a Lil Wayne entrance. If you notice in boxing, a lot of boxers, they're friends with a lot of rappers. They would have rappers walk them out to the song, just like Berlanga and the Chomo Pedo of Fat Joe walking out Berlanga to his fight, right? You see a lot of rappers do that. Very lackluster, right? Even the Eminem and the Terrence Crawford walkout during the Errol Spence fight was lackluster. He walked out to an Eminem song with Eminem, but Eminem didn't perform. Okay, by the very least, you could have done that, right? But they didn't do that. They just had Lil Wayne walk him out. I didn't even recognize Lil Wayne, right? He looked like some random fan, and I was like, I had to look close. I was like, oh, wow, okay, that is Wheezy. That is Lil Wayne. Now, if it wasn't for his blonde hair and blonde strips on Lil Wayne's hair, you would have never guessed that was Lil Wayne. You would have never, yeah, he would have just been, you know, somebody that you could have easily, you know, walked past and not recognize. But very lackluster, obviously reflected upon Dana White. He doesn't like all these extravagant things. And you know what? It kind of works out in a way, right? You know who has the same mind as Dana White? It's MMA Guru. You want to know why? The reason why MMA Guru and Dana White have the same mindset, if you look at MMA Guru's content, it's very plain Jane, nothing too extravagant, but it works. Okay, it works, and it works because of the consistency that you have. Now, look, you cannot be consistent if every week you have entrances with rappers, with, you know, high production and things of this nature, right? So they kept it simple. Walk out with an entrance music and walk out to the ramp, and that's it. Really as simple as that, right? But, you know, at the same time, it works. So, okay, let's see here. What do we have here? So, what a great fight announcement by Dana. Marty Miller says exactly. F15 says, remember when Joe Rogan said Dana White a ring girl? He said that? In what context? Let me know. Marty Miller says, yeah, that was weird as hell. At least him lip singing to a song or something. You know, okay, Marty Miller says the most epic walkout was Floyd with Justin Bieber. Yeah, because, you know, boxing has room for that type of extravagance, right? Whereas with MMA, they are sort of, well, not MMA, but UFC in general, they're very shy on doing something like that. Fresh Melon Juice says K1 had the best entrances. You mean K1 or do you mean Pride or both? Let me know what you mean by that. K1 is still around right now, by the way. So, yeah, Guru always tips on Dana for his lack of effort. Yeah, because he likes the plain, and you know what? I kind of like it too, right? If you have a minimalist mentality, I think you will like that, right? Sometimes you don't like a lot of clutter. You don't like putting a lot of like different designs or this and that. People who are highly artistic or highly creative, unfortunately, are the messiest people that you will ever find, right? Now, you know, I'm pretty creative and, you know, pretty innovative in my own way, but, you know, I don't like having a chaotic mind. I like things to, you know, be simple and this, that, and the other. But yeah, Marty Miller says, I'm joking about Beaver, by the way. I'm not, because I tell you what, it is epic in a certain way, right? I mean, epic to whoever may find that amusing. Obviously, if you're into Floyd and if you're into Justin Bieber at the same time, then yeah, that would be, you know, a big deal for you. Fresh Melon Juice says Dana doesn't want the stars to take away from the UFC product like Barcelona FC. Their game style is made so every Spanish kid can play it. Okay, very interesting. Elaborate for me more on what you mean by the Barcelona FC, because I'm not familiar with their organization. Obviously, I'm a fan of Manchester City. That's a Premier League in England. I'm not really too familiar with the Spanish league and how they promote their particular brand. But yeah, let me know. Rips on Dana White. Fresh Melon Juice's K1 tax form. Okay, so yeah, that's my little rant on Dustin Poirier's lackluster entrance with Lil Wayne. Fresh Melon Juice says they don't build their game on 1 or 2 stars. That's what it is, right? Nobody is bigger than the program when it comes to the UFC. I think that's really the bottom line of you know, of that, right? Nobody is bigger than the program, and that is the way that the UFC markets itself entirely. So, yeah. Let's see here. All right, so okay, so let's go with Submission Radio. Let's hear what Submission Radio has to say about these matchups right here. Shout out to New Zealand, by the way.
Alright guys, a lot of stuff happening right now. First off, we got announcements. I am joined by my good buddy from MMA Fighting. You know him from all the great work that he does, fresh from TNA Slammiversary. Jose Youngs, thanks for joining me, man. Last second, you're a legend, dude.
Anytime, man. I'm always happy to hop on with the Submission Radio crew.
And by the way, I'm back in the normal place where I record. My internet is working again. I feel great. I feel very, probably right? Like, this is the most interesting one.
Probably, and it would generate the most interest internationally. Cyril is in all these Netflix movies now. He's outside of Tom, he's probably the most well-known heavyweight.
So did you hear that? Did you hear that? I told you guys this earlier, right? And this is the first time I've heard this video, by the way. I told you Cyril Gane was put on all these Netflix shows, all these Netflix movies to try and make him the most recognizable heavyweight in the world right now. He's the most recognized heavyweight in the world, right next to Tom Aspinall. And yeah, they saw it the way that I saw it right there. Shout outs to Young from MMA Fighting and Submission Radio on that one.
In the UFC right now, because he's fought John Jones, he's held the interim title, he's fought Francis Ngannou. It's just by proxy of fighting the big names. He's also like a good-looking dude. He's walked runway, UFC Paris Fashion Week. In terms of who I wanted him...
Okay, so I didn't know that, right? I didn't know that he did, you know, UFC Paris week, but it makes sense, right? Cyril Gane, light-skinned brother from Paris, you know, French on top of that, and yeah, you know, he definitely has that look going on.
In a fight, he'd probably be second or third. I really wanted him to fight Jailton Almeida, but I get it. Cyril's the bigger name. At least Jailton is on the card fighting Alexander Volkov in case anything happens. I'm sure he would be the one to step up. Wouldn't have hated the Volkov fight either.
Okay, so that's interesting right there, right? That right there is interesting. So, that is why they put Volkov in that card, because if anything was to happen, there it is, right? Just like the Canelo and the Crawford fight, right? I said that, you know what, I want to see Hamza Shiraz fight Canelo. So what do they got to do? I think he has to go and make weight in September, go there as a backup replacement in case Crawford or, you know, Canelo don't make it.
There, I know a lot of people, including some people at the UFC, think Volkov beat Cyril Gane in their last fight, but Tom kind of ran through Volkov already. So,
all right, here we go with more Pantoja stuff, right? Pantoja is the backup for Cyril Gane and Aspinall. I don't know what this dude is talking about. Man, listen, you need to tell me what Pantoja did to you, bro. You are obsessed with throwing Pantoja with these heavyweights. Why? Why? What did he do to you, bro?
I just wanted a fresh matchup. I really didn't care who it was. I wanted three things. I wanted Tom to be healthy. I wanted Tom to fight. And I wanted a fresh matchup. So we got all three of those. So I can't complain.
We got all three of those. Now, Cyril Gane.
All right, so that's a good point, right? John Jones can't be in there with Tom. John Jones can't be in there with Tom. What is the next best option? Cyril Gane. Fresh matchup. Tom staying active and clarity within the heavyweight division of who is who and what and who is going to be where at the end of the year.
He shat the bed against John Jones. He came out at the moment. It was too much for him. And by the way, like, this is a guy that's not as experienced in MMA like we've seen him, like the Francis Ngannou fight. You could just tell, like, the guy just wasn't ready for it. But if you have a look at his record, like, I just want to remind people at home about some of the stuff he has been able to do. Obviously, he's been able to basically, get a couple of wins, which is good, so he's not coming off losses.
Marty Miller asks, you didn't hear that announcement, Kyrie? No, I did not hear that Pantoja was the backup for the heavyweight fight out of all people, right? Oh, my goodness, yeah, I never would have guessed.
Like you mentioned, that's kind of the split decision against Volkov. It is what it is. But he's been able to get a couple of wins. He couldn't get it done against Francis Ngannou. He beat a very, very game Tai Tuivasa, probably one of the most.
Yeah, well, you're not in the loop, man. He says no. Apparently not. Apparently I'm not in the loop because I think that it's inhumane to put a 125 fighter in there with a heavyweight. Yeah, I'm really not in the loop of that one. Sorry that I'm on team humanity and human rights, okay?
Nice game, dude.
He says, keep up, brother. Yeah, I need to keep up, man. You know what I mean? Like, these new generation guys, they like to see, smaller guys fight bigger guys. I mean, like, we never did that back in the day, in my day of bare-knuckle MMA. We never did that, even though there literally was no weight classes nor rules, and you could punch people in the balls if you wanted.
Of Ty. Beat Derek Lewis, obviously the other Volkov burn.
And for those of you that are watching this and that don't understand the banter that we have going on, yeah, please try to keep up with American sarcasm, will ya?
Struck JDS, he was able to beat him. He's been able to sort of put on a bit of a performance, but again, like, just even going back to this, the start of his career was 2018. He's been out doing movies. Tom Aspinall came on this program, told me and Casper that his new name for Cyril Gane is a thespian. He calls him a thespian because he chose to be an actor, right? Yeah. Rather than a fighter. But at the same time, what is your feeling?
You know what? It never worked out for people that were doing movies while also fighting at the same time, right? It never worked out. For example, obviously, you take a look at what's his name? Ronda Rousey, obviously. Izzy was offered multiple roles while he was world champion and turned it down, right? I mean, he had a good run. I'm going to say that the reason why he lost his run was not because of doing movies. It was because he was too active. So there has to be a balance there, right? You got to know how to be super active, but also know how to not distract yourself from the outside world of having these movies and all these media things that you can do on the side.
From Cyril Gane, because he's having, I'd say this is probably his third big crack. Yeah. First one was against Gane. Second one was against Jones. Now he's having a third crack. This is more than most fighters get, right? Like, the third crack at glory. What do you think he's been doing in his downtime? Like, we've seen some gym videos of him trying to, like...
Name a fighter who's had this many chances in the title contendership. Obviously, Chael Sonnen is one example of that. He had 2 tries at 185, 1 try at light heavyweight. You had Dustin Poirier. He fought Islam. He fought Khabib. And, yeah. He fought Islam, Khabib. And who else? Who else did he fight? Okay, well, he did fight for the interim belt. But, yeah, that's what I mean. He had multiple chances to win Undisputed. That's about it, really, right? But there are more people that have had, more cracks at the title fight. But, yeah.
get his wrestling game up, his grappling game up. Do you think there's a chance we might see a dangerous, maybe potentially the most dangerous version of Gane?
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Going into this Tom Aspinall fight.
It's an interesting question because I think even before he fought Francis Ngannou, he had that wicked fight against Derek Lewis who kind of ran over him. And, you know, that fight was kind of slapped together last minute because they needed because that was an interim heavyweight fight that headlined a pay-per-view because Francis had just fought in a handful of months early. So that was kind of, it was a weird situation. And people forget before that, the Volkov fight, the main event, the main event, and then the main event against Jairus Jr. were not barn burners. Like, he just kind of technically pieced them up from the outside. And before.
Okay, hold on a second. We'll be right back. Let me play this video for you real quick while I use the bathroom. I'll be right back.
But didn't really feel like it. Obviously, Max Holloway won based on the volume of strikes, and not only that, just the overall
Be right back.
skill differential that I had mentioned going into the fight. Max not taking as much damage, whereas Dustin Poirier, his whole entire career was nothing but damaging. And on top of that, you got to remember, Dana White said something to the effect that there are some guys that I wouldn't mind retiring, but there are some guys that I beg not to retire, which was Khabib and Daniel Cormier. But I tell you what, aside from John Jones and aside from Dustin Poirier and the contrasting way that they had tributed his retirement, I'll tell you who is on the verge of retirement, but is in the prime of their boxing career right now, and that's all.
Yes, and that is Alexander Usyk. I feel, don't push the horses, okay? Oh, man, I gotta tell you, yes, probably one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. Now, can he surpass Muhammad Ali? We're gonna find out. However, Tyson Fury has some interesting choice of words for Daniel Dubois, and I think you guys need to hear this because there's a strong life lesson to learn out of this. Here it is.
And all this quitting stuff and whatever else. Here's the facts. The facts are, young Daniel did his best against one of the greatest champions that's ever been, and it wasn't good enough. He come up short. He got put down twice. What do you want him to do? Die in the ring. There's no first place for getting battered to fucking still lose it. The lad did his best. He wasn't going to win the fight. He's better off getting out of there. There's a lot of jealousy in boxing, especially when an individual's making a lot of money. A lot of jealous fighters slagging someone off who did his best and the guts to get in there. There is no cowards in boxing. When you're in that ring fighting world heavyweight champions, there is no cowards. So all the credit deserves to Daniel. He worked his bollocks off from being 8-year-old. I fucking won the world title. I fought fucking Usyk for the Undisputed. Video went off and fought Usyk for the Undisputed. And now he's sitting at home, multi-millionaire at 27, do what the fuck he wants. Daniel, if you ever get to see this, chin up, son. Your dad's proud of you. Everybody's proud of you. You've come from a kid to a man to be the world heavyweight champion. I boxed at Wembley in front of 100,000 people. You can't beat that kid. And if you ever want to do any training with a fucking real straight man, come yourself to Morecambe anytime you want, kid. Because there's no jealousy here. And there's no fucking people putting others down who do the best. I call them dream crushers and jealous bastards. Exactly, that's what you are. I love the dirty, jealous wankers. You look Daniel Dubois. You look tough.
Well, all right. Before I react to what Tyson Fury had said and the life lessons behind that, I want you guys to check out my live stream that I did on July 22nd of Tuesday.
All right, so if you want to check out the rest of that video, check out Daniel Dubois quit or self-preserved. Usyk, greatest of all time. UFC 318 recap. Also, Manny Pacquiao versus Barrios, a draw. All featuring Tyson Fury backing up Daniel Dubois as everybody is hounding on him for quitting. And here's Tyson Fury backing him up as a result of that. So go check out that video as well. please give it a like, give it a subscribe, and also hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's get this cracking. Juice Man 562, Long Beach in the house. That's what I'm talking about, my man. Shout out to Juice Man 562 in Long Beach. Long Beach in the house. Yeah, Long Beach in the house. All right. So let's get back to these reactions to these fights that we got going on. What's up, playa, my man? Salute to you and everybody in Long Beach, Crip City, USA.
For that, the JDS fight, I remember there was some controversy. I think it was that one, because that one in his knockout loss to Jai Jr. confused where I think JDS was complaining again to like a blow to the back of the head. So he's beating the guys he should, but he wasn't blowing them away. And for a long time, I think we thought he was this perfect heavyweight because he was knocking guys out. He was winning by heel hook. He was winning by, like, what we're talking about Tom Aspinall now, we were having the same conversations about Cyril Gane. Like,
now, the difference is Cyril Gane at some point started getting exposed, right? His wrestling got exposed by Francis Ngannou. When Francis Ngannou saw this, he said, you know what? I think I could take this guy in wrestling. I'm talking about John Jones when he's seen Francis Ngannou do that. And so over time, they started seeing chinks in his armor. Just like Tom Aspinall, at some time, you're going to start seeing chinks in his armor. Right now, he's the best ever right now, right? He's got great submissions, great boxing, good knockout power, but we'll see how long that lasts.
Just a handful of years ago, and then Francis Ngannou out-wrestled him. And then John Jones made it seem like he didn't belong in MMA. He looked great against Sergey Spivak, and he looked great against, I think, even though he lost, I think that's the best title loss we've ever seen against Cyril Gane. That fight was unbelievable. So until the last handful of years, it felt like Cyril headlined every few months. Like, you need an Apex card, you need a fight night, Cyril Gane can do it. And then he took a step back, I think, after...
Yeah, that's true, man. Cyril has been a company man for a long time, and yeah, if anything, yeah, he deserves this crack again.
He beats after he beat Tuivasa or Spivak or one of them, Tom was there, cage side, and he's like, I want to fight Cyril next. And Cyril was like, no, I want to fight for the title now. And then it just didn't happen, and then Tom got hurt. So I don't know, because the Cyril that fought Volkov did not look like either Volkov patched all the holes in his game that he got from the first Cyril fight, and hopefully Cyril changed up a bit. I know he came out a little bit injured. I'm just hoping someone needs to get Tom into the second, third round. Tom himself has said it, and I'm just hoping Cyril can show up and at least put on.
Now, if Cyril is able to get him into the third or fourth round, yeah, we're definitely going to be looking at a way different fight.
Sort of performance.
Yeah, just have a look at this footage here. This was from about 5 weeks ago. It sounds like he's been taking his grappling seriously.
Good.
Obviously, like, this is what you want to see from Gane, right? Like, obviously, he's not amazing, but at least he's in there with someone. These are just highlights. So I'm sure he probably got destroyed a bunch of times by a bunch of guys in the gym. But you want to see him in there grinding, because whenever I speak to Cyril Gane, he always talks about the fact that he's more of a kickboxer. He's kind of new to the sport, and it didn't seem like he really took other parts of the game that seriously, because he just thought he could get by on his kickboxing. But Tom Aspinall, dude.
And that's really what it is, right? Most guys that have this one-trick pony style going into the UFC, they often just knock people out, knock people unconscious over and over again, and the next thing you know, he looked like a turtle on his back. Yeah. Next thing you know, they come into the UFC and they got to round their game up a little bit and realize that, man, you know, there's more to this game than, you know, than what they would have expected. So
you mentioned, like, going at...
So, yeah, this is the phase where he's at right now. He has to understand where his limitations are. And from the looks of that training video, he is, right? But we'll see how that translates against Tom Aspinall.
Out of the first round. You imagine in the first round, Aspinall starts standing. They have to start standing, obviously. But how long would it honestly take Tom to shoot in, take Gane down? Like, he's not there to stand around with Gane and put on a few rounds. Like, this guy's going to go straight for his legs. And by the way, Tom Aspinall, one of the most active ground fighters.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like the second he gets you down, it's attack. It's step one.
Yeah, what he means by that is that he doesn't he's not going to sit there and try to stale you out, right? Like, he doesn't have a stalemate position once he gets to the ground. Once Tom gets to the ground, he's constantly going from one transition to another and one submission attempt to another. If Kimura doesn't work, he's going to go with an armbar. If an armbar is going to work, don't be surprised if he tries to throw a triangle in there. Tom can do it all.
One step, two step, three.
Fresh Melon Juice says Aspinall looked like a turtle on his back when he got submitted by a smaller guy. Yeah, that's right. He did get submitted by a smaller guy, huh? I wonder if there's footage of... let me look up as I keep playing this Submission Radio reaction. If there's any footage of Tom Aspinall getting submitted.
They're like, if nothing's there, he goes to step. Like, arm bar, doesn't have the arm bar, goes to the arm triangle. No arm triangle, can go for the knee bar, whatever. Like, Tom Aspinall is very much goes through the process pretty perfectly. Even with his striking, like head movement, sets up jabs, sets up kicks. It's just, he hits so fast and so accurate. Yeah, man, he is just about as near perfect fighter as you can get at heavyweight. I think I'm curious to see what he could do in the later rounds. But even he himself said, like, I think we interviewed him once in Manchester, and this is back when Alex Pereira was still knocking everyone out at light heavyweight. And someone asked him, like, oh, would you want to, like, stand against Alex Pereira and show him that it doesn't belong in heavyweight? He's like, no, I just run at him and tackle him. So it's like Tom Aspinall knows the path. He's not one to prove a point. He's past the victory. So, yes, I agree with you. The first minute or so, the second he sees a leg, he's snatching that thing quick.
Did you guys see that? Yeah, it's an old fight. Did you guys see that? I just played the fight right now. It was on the shorts. Yeah, if you guys want to check that out, it is from MMA Combat Corner. Shout out to MMA Combat Corner for showing that that clip. It's on the shorts right there of MMA Combat Corner. So, yeah. Heel hook. I could see Sandhagen doing that to Merab. Really? You know what? That is what is going to make this fight a whole lot more difficult for Merab, right? Just when he thinks that he took Corey Sandhagen down, and I'm sure Corey Sandhagen understands and realizes he's going to be taken down. But once he gets taken down, what are you going to do with it? And that right there is where I think Sandhagen is going to be very dangerous. And yes, Marty Miller says he's been training with Ryan Hall a ton. So for sure he's going to be going after those heel hooks straight away as soon as he gets to the ground.
Yeah, and even on the stand-up, I have Tom Aspinall.
Yeah, it's just, they're so different. Like, Tom is so fast and so quick, and Cyril seems much more methodical. Not that Tom can't do it, he just hasn't really needed to.
Yeah, it is harder to heel hook. Is it harder to heel hook shorter guys? I would say so, but that is why that fight with Corey Sandhagen and Merab are going to be interesting. Like, how is Corey Sandhagen going to grab those little legs of Merab? Those little legs with your little head.
Exactly. There was even that moment with Tai Tuivasa where Tai landed a bomb on Gane there, and you could tell, like, yeah. And that's kind of how Tom Aspinall fights. So, you know, it's good to see Tom back in rotation. Let's see how long Gane can stay in here, and like we said, like a third crack here. By the way, like 321, what are we thinking for a good co-main? Like, anybody stand out to you that you think would make sense to go on that card?
I think it would have been pretty great if Movsar had won and they tried to do like Volkanovski and Movsar in Abu Dhabi or something like that. But now, if Islam is fighting JDM on a card, I would imagine if Movsar won, they would try to do Movsar, Alex, and JDM. Islam, like little Russia, Australia, 1-2 punch at the top. Co-main, well, as of right now, it's probably Volkov and Jailton. I think that's a pretty good co-main event as it is, but if they want to stack the double title fight.
Now, that could change right there, right? I told you, don't be surprised if Khamzat wants to come back and defend his title on October. Okay? Yeah, that's possible. August to October, that's very much possible. Conor McGregor fought Nate Diaz in August and then came back in November of 2016 and won the belt. Only a Minari role, Fresh Melon Juice says.
Right.
Ryan Hall can't teach him takedowns. That's right, he can't. He can't. Marty Miller says the thing, though, is he doesn't have to take Merab down to get a leg lock. No, he doesn't. He doesn't need to take him down to get a leg lock. Man, Corey Sandhagen is probably one of the most well-diverse fighters in the 135 division. He can do it all, basically. He can take you down as well. So
I thought Marab would be.
Fresh Melon Juice says, why? Why to what? Let me know what you mean by why. And yeah.
A good one, but he's obviously, I'm sure we'll get into that. He's fighting the pay-per-view before. Same as Alex. Middleweight's going to be too quick of a turnaround for August. Welterweight, I assume JDM Islam will probably be MSG or end of the year. Lightweight, I don't think Ilias will ever be a co-main event ever again. Volk's probably not ready to go. Bantamweight, no. Pantoja wants to fight in December. You could do one of the women, I guess. You could do Valentina versus Natalia Silva, but also I think Wei Lee wants to go up. So if they want to float a bunch of money and just do Natalia Silva, Valentina right now, that'd be cool. But then again, if Wei Lee goes up, you could do Verna and Mackenzie Dern for the vacant title. I think that'd be a real fun one, considering they're both high-level grapplers. And since jiu-jitsu is such a major factor in Abu Dhabi, I think Mackenzie Dern's competed in ADCC, so I think that'd be a fun one. That'd probably be the only one that would make sense, just because everyone else seems booked or has fallen already.
Yeah, the only other one, I think, October 25th, I wonder. That's a pretty good timeline for maybe Izzy Sean Strickland. Or is he someone else? I think
he's. Would they want to do that at co-main? I feel like that's a good fight night main event.
Yeah, that's true.
Like because they have that fight night in Vancouver coming up, that might be a little fun one.
Marty Miller asks, you can go for heel hooks off the bottom just like the guy did against Tom. A lot of guys use it to create scrambles. That's very true. Michael Fitchbauer says Ozzy died. Yeah, that's right, man. That's right. You know, the first person that I saw post on that and where I first heard that from was, and I know Marty Miller is not going to like this, okay, from Jesse on Fire, right? I didn't see the video, though, but it just says Ozzy dead at 76, and yeah, that was the most that I got out of it. It has to be worse than getting punched in the face, Marty Miller says to Fresh Melon Juice.
Wants to fight in. Because also, Tom, let's not forget, the first time they fought was in Vegas, and then since then, Sean Strickland has fought in Australia, Newark, Australia twice, Newark, and Toronto, and he's a Vegas boy. I bet they try to, if they do book that fight, I bet they try to stick it on the December pay-per-view or maybe that October pay-per-view.
Where does JDM and Islam fit in, by the way?
JDM Islam, I bet happens MSG or end of the year. I think Islam has made it pretty.
Yeah, so that is my official prediction on that one. I think they are going to make JDM versus Islam in New York. It's a neutral territory. Obviously, there's a lot of Muslims in New York. The mayor of New York is Muslim, right? Don't be surprised if Islam meets with the mayor of New York. You know what I mean? Even though they're antiquatedly opposite of their views, he's a Muslim brother, he's the mayor of New York. Do not be surprised if Islam meets the mayor of New York, because they're going to have JDM versus Islam Makhachev on the MSG card of November coming up this year. Islam beats JDM, unfortunately. What do you mean, unfortunately? I mean, you know, obviously that's great for me, right? You know, because, look, here's the thing, right? I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret, and I'm sure you guys know this, right? My page is predicated on Muslim fighters winning. You want to look at the most popular videos that I've had? Most of the popular videos I had involved covering Muslim fighters, okay? Check this out. My live stream, okay, my most popular live stream was the Usman Nurmagomedov fight versus Paul Hughes. That did 15K. Okay, and then obviously Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. That was my second highest. My third highest was 4 months ago, Ankalaev versus Pereira. Okay, and then after that is Arthur Beterbiev versus Bivol. The first fight, not the second fight, the first fight. The second fight is somewhere in here. But yeah, so yeah. Those are my most popular videos, and obviously Islam Makhachev versus Moicano did some numbers as well. So yeah, man, It's no secret. They help my page whenever they fight, and even more when they win. So, yeah.
Pretty clear.
But remember this: the mayor of New York is going to meet with Islam Makhachev for the MSG card, and that is my prediction on that.
Wants to fight at Madison Square Garden. I know the UFC probably wanted him to fight on the Abu Dhabi pay-per-view, but he made it pretty clear he's like, that's a goal of his. And I don't think JDM is a guy that will turn down fighting particularly anywhere. He seems pretty game, so I think that would be a good, especially if they want to do that Australia-Russian thing, it would just line up with Volk, because Volk hasn't had the opportunity to fight in MSG either.
That'd be a great card, man. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that is a dream card right there. Movsar Evloev as the challenger and Volkanovski as the champion. Co-main event, MSG. And then you got Islam Makhachev versus JDM. Yeah, Australia versus Russia. It's brilliant. It really is brilliant. Have you always been Muslim Kyrie? No, I haven't. No, I haven't. Only in my, in my early to mid 20s, is where I really started, getting into that. So yeah, that's a very good question. But yeah, that's my answer to that. Juiceman562 says, yeah, I'm not bashing the fight or any fight based off religion. I just think Islam wins. I'd like JDM to win, but Islam's going to use his wrestling for sure. And I think that JDM is going to have a rude awakening, understanding that he's never felt wrestling like that before.
That'd be really cool.
Marty Miller says, that's cool. Don't have to get into it now, but I'd like to hear more about that sometime. For sure. Well, you know what? Okay, so, well, I'll bring it up sometime. I will bring it up sometime. It would, I will bring it up sometime. Don't forget to ask me that again when, the subject arises. But yeah, I will bring that up sometime.
Cool. I think
You got to come out for that one. You'd have to come out for that one.
I have to mortgage the house, but I was going to say Dan
Hooker. Dan Hooker wants to be on that card. There could be all sorts of great fights on there. By the way, second biggest fight, another great graphic from you. Ankalaev versus Pereira 2. It's happening. It's going to be the pay-per-view before UFC 320, October 4th, Las Vegas. What do we think, Jose? A lot of people sort of speculating, do we need to see the rematch? Should Alex Pereira have moved on? Like, can we get more out of him at heavyweight? Are you happy that they're going to be doing this rematch? Are you expecting something different from this?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like the rematch, right? I don't think Alex Pereira deserves a rematch. And if you think that he deserves a rematch, I'm not going to argue with you, because that's a good point too, right? Because he did do a great number in his title defenses, right? He said yes to every fight. All right, so if there's anybody that deserves a rematch, maybe it's Alex Pereira. But the performance that he put on against Ankalaev, I don't think he deserves it. He only deserves it based on what he did prior. So, yeah, Marty Miller says, I know you said the rematch is going to be a rinse and repeat, but I really think it's going to be a different fight. Pereira was injured in that fight. Okay, let's take that into consideration, right? Because when you are injured, you are in a different fight. For example, on the boxing side, Hamza Shiraz, before he went in there with Berlanga, people were surprised that he knocked out Berlanga because of his past performance prior to that fight. But here's the underlining issue with the previous fight before Berlanga. He was injured. Okay, and then he came in there and starched Berlanga. And some people may argue Berlanga is a higher level than Carlos Adames, or maybe somewhere in between, I don't know, or maybe somewhere in the same level as Carlos Adames. But he starched Berlanga, and he looked bad against Carlos Adames in that draw. So something had to give, and he said that he did have an injury there, which we later found out, not something that Hamza Shiraz made it as an excuse, but obviously those two fights look contrastingly different as a result of that.
Rematch, what are you feeling, Zach?
I'm not expecting too much different unless it's true that Alex was hurt or something like that. It's just Ankalaev seems to have every answer. But
Marty Miller says, I'm surprised you don't think he deserves it. He's a 2-division champ and defended the belt multiple times. That part is what he deserves for this rematch. But I also would like to bring the argument that he doesn't deserve the rematch based on the performance of that fight alone, right? I think it was very one-sided. I think Ankalaev showed that he was the better fighter, and for him to do something different, well, we'll see. We'll see if he does something different in here, but I don't see this as being anything different in the favor of Ankalaev. In fact, I think that Ankalaev will do even better because of the fact that he's been in there with him and he understands the rhythm, the algorithm, and the habits that Alex Pereira has. It's going to be an even better fight for him. I think Ankalaev is one of those guys that looks better in rematches, and he's proven that with the Ayan Kutalaba fight, by the way, the series that he's had going on with him.
If Alex is coming in bigger, like physically, like when Izzy fought Rob Whittaker, remember he came in, you could just see he was physically bigger. Like even though he cut to 185, he was just bigger. If Alex comes in thicker and stronger, because I mean we've seen him walking around at 240 something. If he still cuts to 205 and is that Matt.
I think if you are as active as Alex, Izzy, and Merab, you should get a rematch either way. Yeah, and that is why I'm not arguing with that fact, Fresh Melon Juice. The title defenses that he's had, you cannot deny that. But at the same time, yeah. Marty Miller says, yeah, that's a valid point. Ankalaev is definitely going to have more confidence going into this fight. But to be fair, he didn't really get many takedowns against Pereira. I think that's where this fight may be different. I think now he's starting to understand, hey, you know what? There's openings to take a shot right here. There's openings for a single leg. There's openings for, if I get him clinched up against the cage, I could go for a double leg from these sequences or trip him up, right? That is what could be the difference in this fight, is that Ankalaev may decide to mix it up more. In the first fight, I felt like Ankalaev was just trying to prove a point, like, hey, I'm one of the best strikers in this division as well, not just this K1 or Glory champion. I am as well, and I think that was the point that he was trying to make. Fresh Melon Juice says active champs. Marty Miller says agree, Fresh.
Massive, dude. Maybe. I just don't see much of a difference. But I'm glad. If they're not going to give it to Yuri, and I know
I agree with Young on that one.
Carlos Ulberg deserves it because Carlos Ulberg will be the next man up. I just think he needs one more win to really convince the masses. Because like beating Jan is cool, but it wasn't that great of a fight. If he had one out there and just knocked him out, then it would be a different story. But I just think Ulberg needs one.
Yeah, Carlos Ulberg, I think, would be the next man up, right? He's absolutely earned his shot right now, right? He basically almost came out of nowhere as just the sparring partner of Izzy, and then he's coming all onto his own right now. Is Young Chinese? No, he's not. This is the guy that I'm talking about right here. He's from MMAfighting.com, so he's the American voice-sounding guy that you hear, and then this is the Aussie that you are hearing in the background right now. So, yeah.
One more win to get a title shot, because if it wasn't going to be...
La épica acción en línea de World Thunder te permite participar en gigantescas. Creado con todo lujo de...
The Pereira rematch, Yuri Prohaska was the one to do. Ankalaev and Yuri had been talking all that shit online.
Aussie is owned by the Chinese. Yeah, I have heard that. I have heard that the Chinese have a stronghold over Australia. Yeah, we'll probably talk about that in a little bit. That's a good conversation for the politics side that we can bring into the live stream.
Already, or at least someone with Ankalaev's Twitter. And then Yuri seems more than happy to oblige once he finished university. If it's not going to be Yuri, then it has to be Alex. And I'm happy. Alex is one of, the 3 biggest stars in the UFC in terms of, like, at least semi-cross. It's like him, Ely, and even Sean O'Malley. So, yeah, it's got to be him. Squeeze as much juice out of a guy as you can until he can no longer fight for the title.
All right, so let's say he loses again in the same finish as Ankalaev. What does this do to Alex Pereira? Is he still... Do we then move him to heavyweight?
I wouldn't hate it. I mean, he could probably find new life. Because if in this hypothetical world, let's say Tom in this world beats Cyril, because anything can happen in heavyweight. Who's left for Tom to fight? He's already beat Volkov. He's already beat. Like if Jailton beats Volkov, that's the fight. But if Volkov beats Jailton, Tom's not going to say no. But do you think they want to put Volkov in a heavyweight fight or Alex Pereira in a heavyweight fight? I feel like the UFC is going to want to make money and stick Alex Pereira in a heavyweight fight. Because if Alex somehow beats Tom Aspinall, there's your Alex Pereira versus John Jones in the UFC White House. There you go. John gets both of his wishes. He gets to fight for a belt, he gets to fight Alex, and he gets to fight in the White House. And I say this not knowing anything. Because
Well, John then has to go back down to 205 if he does that. I don't know if that's possible, man. If Derek Lewis gets another win, he should fight Tom if he beats Gane. You know what? Think about this, right? Derek could fight Tom at the White House. That could be the White House fight that they have, because obviously John Jones is not going to do it. Dana White doesn't trust him, right? So I don't know, man. They're talking about Pereira going to heavyweight. Yeah. Okay. So John, will definitely not fight for a belt then if he does, right? Derek is dangerous because Tom gets hit every fight. He does, right? And sometimes you just need that one hit. And that is the reason why Francis Ngannou was very reluctant and very methodical in the way that he tried to fight him. In fact, way too methodical for his own good.
Because obviously anything can happen, but the UFC is going to be one of those. It's going to be one of those things where no matter what division he's in, they're going to try and slot him into a title shot because he's a popular star.
Dude, I'll tell you what, having Alex Pereira in the heavyweight division for the UFC, not a bad little way to get John Jones and back into rotation. You could set up like a Gane fight with Alex Pereira even if he loses. And let's say Cyril Gane wins, man. Then there'll be some interesting opportunities there.
He said Tom is a little sloppy. I agree. He does have a bit of a sloppiness to the way that he fights, right? And look, if there was anything that was going to motivate John Jones to fighting him is understanding that, right? Understanding that he has those holes in his game. But now that Cyril Gane has that assignment, I would assume that he is going to, take notice of this reality. So,
as well, let's just quickly. So, you mentioned it, like Yuri, right? He's going to be on the same card here against Killer. This is a pretty sick fight.
Yeah, his speed kind of makes up for his sloppiness, Marty Miller says in reference to Tom Aspinall.
That's a sick fight.
Sick fight, right? So but I don't understand. Okay, so it's cool to have them on the same card during a time though where we're struggling for like main events or fight nights and stuff. Sometimes I don't understand how the UFC books stuff. Like you could technically have this fight at a different time, build towards whatever, but they want.
Fresh Melon Juice says John's going to eat popcorn, hoping Tom goes 5 rounds. Well, you know what? He needs to pick up more data on Tom Aspinall, right? And when you're knocking guys out so early, and it's going to be very difficult to, pick up any type of tape study on these people, right? Primarily, look, John's biggest weapon in his arsenal, right, is tape study. Him and Greg Jackson do constant tape studies, and this was a focal point in his success during his run. Now, if you don't have much footage on Tom Aspinall, you really can't pick up on anything. So if this fight does go 5 rounds, it does give John a whole lot of data of understanding where this guy is at.
Wanted to do it all on the same card.
Tom is Speedy Gonzalez. Yes, Fresh Melon Juice. He is definitely the Speedy Gonzalez of the heavyweight division.
More power to them. What do you think, man? Like, when you think of this Yuri Khalil matchup, it's going to be like a car wreck. It's going to be insane.
Yeah, he will, but even if it goes 5 rounds, it's unlikely that he will get to see any defensive wrestling from Tom. Correct. Fresh Melon Juice says, or is it an illusion in his movement? Well, what do you mean by that? Please elaborate on that, Fresh. What do you mean by an illusion in Tom Aspinall's movement? Do you mean that the way that he moves creates an illusion as if it looks like he knows what he's doing, but in reality it's just really his speed showing? Or Fresh Melon Juice says that makes him look faster than he is. Yeah, there is no denying he is fast. But is it because he's a counter fighter? Now, that's the same thing with Conor, right? Is he a hard puncher, or does he just know how to punch at the right time to create that precision? twitching, he says, Fresh Melon Juice.
It's gonna be, unless the Khalil that shows up against Jamal shows up and is like much more tech. I take that back. Yuri will not allow that to happen. Yuri's gonna come in like a bat out of hell. Like, you can try to be as technical as you want. The second Yuri starts throwing elbows and fists at shit, it's gonna be a different story. It should be, especially in a 3-round fight, you don't have to conserve energy. That's gonna be a bananas fight. So it's gonna be like you're taking a hammer and a wrench and throw it into a blender and to turn it on. Something.
Is Tom friends with Jerry? I'm sure he has friends named Jerry, but I see you're trying to make a Tom and Jerry reference, so interesting.
Crazy guy.
Whoa, man. So, all right. So this is going to, all right. So Olberg, he's probably going to have to fight Dominic Reyes now. I'd say.
I like that fight.
Yeah, he's probably out of rotation. This will definitely be.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I would like that fight with Carlos Ulberg and Reyes, right? It's almost like Ulberg is trying to take the position of Dominic Reyes, although a lot of people have taken that position, but Dominic Reyes is coming right back up, sort of realizing his new potential now, and man, Carlos Ulberg is that guy that's moving up right now, so yeah, that's going to be an interesting fight either way.
The winner who fights Ankalaev next, and how about this? Merab versus Corey as well on the same card. This is actually a pretty sick pay-per-view. These guys have put together a very interesting pay-per-view during a time where there's not that many fights to put together.
Fresh Melon Juice says that Marty Miller, yeah, it's going to be a true striking fest.
Talking on one of the lives with Josh Thompson, and he was saying that there was this story of the PFL looking to do a trade for Ditcheva and Merab at one point. The UFC get Ditcheva, they get Merab.
Crazy.
Yeah, apparently there was some real fire behind that. But now, obviously, Merab, one of the most dominant champions in the UFC right now, so they probably want to hold on to him. What do you make of this fight?
Wow, okay, that's crazy. I never thought that they were thinking about trading Ditcheva for Merab. That is an insane trade. But you know what? Since the days of Ben Askren and DJ Johnson, obviously, yeah, there were. It is possible. It is possible that they will do trades, but obviously Merab is champion now, so yeah. Reyes just needed to regain his confidence like Polo. That's true.
I think on the same card as all these guys, man.
I'm glad that Corey and Merab will get the shine from it, because Merab has headlines the pay-per-view, the biggest card in the sphere, and then he fights in that co-main event in one of the best fights of the year against Umar, and then he gets the shine again on Sean O'Malley. It just seems like this fight card, it's not the sphere, it's not Sean O'Malley, but it's the main event will bring eyeballs, and the fight before them will bring eyeballs. I think this is a perfect slot for both of these guys to gain more fans, because this division is red hot right now. It's one of, if not the best divisions in all of, not just MMA, but even boxing. Like the 130, like the upper 30 weight class is just electric right now. So if Merab is really the king and he beats Corey, it also, some of the other guys will probably be on similar time frames with them. I think it.
Fresh Melon Juice says, is button-up shirt all the way English Hooligan or Vato Loco? That's a good question. I'm inspired by both. So, you know, obviously West Coast style, but, you know, also the UK style as well. Yeah, I'm influenced by both. So, you know, I would say it's a combination of both. So very good question on that, Fresh Melon Juice.
Perfect timing, perfect fight. Merab also finally gets to fight in Las Vegas again in T-Mobile. I love it. I think it is a great opportunity for both people, because unfortunately, I don't think Merab Corey would have headlined a pay-per-view. As sick of a fight as that is, it seems like Merab needs a Sean O'Malley opposite him to bring the eyeballs in, or the Sphere. Like, he could have fought anyone in the Sphere, would have done anything. Umar was a sick fight. Merab Umar was a sick fight, but you needed Islam in the main event. That wasn't selling pay-per-views just like this. I think it's a great slot.
How much of a shot are we giving Corey here? Because I guess the thing with Corey that I like is he's dangerous in transitions. Yeah. We saw like what he was able to do with Figueroa in transition. I feel like he's improved. I feel like he's more interesting. I feel like before we didn't get that personality. Now he's doing all these crazy videos with Oscar Willis, all the stuff on his channel. He's kind of like a funny guy. He's poised to be in a position of, you know, success here if he wins. Like, I feel like he's in a position where he could actually like be quite a popular, interesting champion. Do you think skill-wise he's ready for this Merab thing?
I think that Corey is one of the best bantamweights in the world, and I think he's been one of the best 2-3 bantamweights on planet Earth for a very long time. I think the Peter Yan fight, when they fought in Abu Dhabi, that was my pick for fight of the year, and that was the same year. I think that was most people picked Gaethje Chandler. But in terms of just pure martial arts, I don't think he gets better than Peter Yan and Corey Sandhagen. That's one of the best fights you'll ever see. I think Peter Yan was...
Sandhagen tore Dillashaw's knee up too. I remember that, yeah. Fresh Melon Juice says, Corey feels way more intelligent than Merab in general. He might surprise the world. Yeah, that's true. You know, Corey Sandhagen is going to have a serious game plan going into this, right? If anything you know about Sandhagen, man, he is a smart individual, right? Very smart individual. I mean, you know, a little too liberal for my taste, but he's a smart individual nonetheless, right? Yeah, he will definitely bring a game plan to this fight. And by the way, speaking of TJ Dillashaw, Corey Sandhagen was probably one of his biggest win in his modern career. Now, obviously, his biggest win overall was against Renan Barão when Renan Barão was #1 pound for pound in the world. But in the modern times, Corey Sandhagen is his biggest win. Yeah, he's who is Fresh Melon Juice? Let me know who you mean by that.
Clicking that whole card, the whole fight, and let's not forget, Corey was not supposed to fight Peter Yan because Peter Yan just lost that Aljamain. Aljamain wasn't healthy and was kind of thrown together very last minute, and then he lost to TJ Dillashaw in a fight that a lot of people scored for Corey Sandhagen, and then he had...
Yeah, a lot of people scored that fight for Corey Sandhagen. It could have gone either way. Don't ask me what I think about that fight because I obviously think that TJ Dillashaw won that fight, and that is why it's his biggest career win ever, in my opinion.
The balls to go fight Umar out in, Abu Dhabi, and then no one was beating Aljamain Sterling. When Aljamain Sterling choked him out, you could have put anyone opposite Aljamain Sterling. He was going to beat him. I think Corey's one of the best fighters in the world. I think Merab poses a very unique skill set with his cardio, can just for days and days and days. Corey trains up in altitude in Denver. He's going to have Trevor Whitman with him. I think this is, outside of an Umar rematch, probably the most intriguing fight that Merab could have, because that 50-50 position that Corey Sandhagen got Figueiredo in is no joke. That thing will wreck your knees. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Tougher matchup, though, than Sean O'Malley. With all respect to Sean, because he's got the power, he's obviously a former champion, but I feel like Corey Sandhagen brings more looks.
Yeah.
He's got more wrinkles in his game here to really...
There's more danger all around against Corey Sandhagen.
Yeah, Corey Sandhagen is a very dangerous fighter, right? Just like everything that we had mentioned. TJ ruined Cody. He hasn't been the same since those knockouts. Yeah, for sure, man. You know what? I think Cody ruined himself in the gym. You know what I mean? He ruined himself in the gym. Look, 135, right? When it comes to 135, Team Alpha Male is the best gym to train at. Uriah, TJ Dillashaw, who else? Obviously, Joseph Benavidez at one point, and then moved down to 125. The list goes on. Song Yadong, they're the best 135er team, right? In that regard. You know the whole theme of iron sharpens iron, right? Well, sometimes iron can sharpen the other iron, and sometimes iron can cut the other iron as well. And this is what happened with Cody Garbrandt. Okay, TJ and Cody are done physically and mentally. That is true, man. You know, they had their time, they had their era, and now it's the new guys that are coming up right now.
You know what's going to be interesting? If Corey does get it done, like, I'm just going to bring up the rankings here for a second, because it's going to make things very interesting. Like, for example, if Merab wins, let's say it's another classic Merab performance.
They say TJ was known for hurting his training partners. This is true. Look, I'm going to tell you what I've seen out of TJ in the training room, right? Whenever TJ walked in the training room, he would grill everybody up and down like this. You know what I mean? Like, and if you wonder why TJ Dillashaw is one of my favorite fighters and one of my favorite fighters that I've had the pleasure of training with, this is why. Okay, he matches my personality. I'm very combative. You know, I don't like being around, you know, a lot. I mean, look, I like being around you guys. I like being around the people that I like. Well, let me just say that I like being around people that I like, and if I don't like you, I'm going to show it, and I'm going to let you know it. You know what I mean? I'm not one of these people that's going to, you know, kick hands and hold hands and all that other stuff. You know, I'm going to handle my candle whenever it's time to dismantle.
Is there someone here that you want to see have another crack? Like, I know Petr Yan's going to be fighting this weekend against McGee. Not exactly like the highest ranked guy.
But here's the thing. It's not good to hurt your training partners, though. It really isn't. Because on that same light, you know what one of our grappling coaches in Team Alpha Male said? What was his name? Kenneth Alexander, right? Former WEC veteran Kenneth Alexander. Former Marine as well, right? You know, he said, what do you call it? He said, if you hurt your toys, you can't play with them. So understand that, right? If you hurt your toys, you can't play with them. Fresh Melon Juice says, I'm wearing a blue button up all the way. What's up? Bars. Fresh Melon Juice says, gang-ish. You know what? Listen, I know what you're referring to, Fresh Melon Juice. Put it like this, right? So the gangs in California are not so color coordinated as much as they used to. Now look, a blood is going to be a blood, a Crip is going to be a Crip, but I've seen Crips and I've seen Bloods wear the opposite color, and it really doesn't mean anything at all, right? It doesn't unidentify them as, let's say, being a member of one side or the other. I'm just saying that it's just not as important as it once was when it came to, you know, color coordination.
But again, like, do we want to see these guys match up again? Do you think Petr Yan gets Merab next, say he wins?
Wait, stop. You're not going to accept that ridiculous offer for your car accident, are you? What do you mean? The insurance?
Fresh Melon Juice says, we need to bring back colors. We can't let the LGBT steal the rainbow from us. I agree.
I think if Petr Yan goes out there and knocks out Marcus McGee in, like, the first couple, or
like, think about how beautiful a rainbow is after a rain and then the sun comes out, right? That's usually how rainbows form. Now all of that was hijacked by a radical movement. You know what I mean?
Just dominates him like he did Figueiredo. I think, I assume that's what, and assuming Merab wins, I think that's what they'll do, because Merab, the best ability is availability, and the UFC has proven that if you help them.
Is it steal or steal? Yeah, not the steal from the stealing, not the steal from, you know, Pittsburgh Steel or Pittsburgh Steelers, but yes, steal as in S-T-A-L.
Them out in a jam, they'll help you out in a jam, because Petr Yan probably should not be fighting Marcus McGee. He's, what is he? He's probably what, ranked like 12, 13? Yeah, he's right there at 12.
Well, I agree, right? The Marcus McGee and the Petr Yan fight, as much of a banger as that fight will be, yeah, I don't think McGee deserves Petr Yan right now, and I think the matchup will probably expose that. I think just the skill discrepancy between them is absolutely going to show in that fight. Marty Miller says, right, you can't even see a rainbow without thinking of those people, SMH. That's true. They've literally hijacked that whole entire ideology.
Yeah, shouldn't be fighting him. And
he told me, he came on this program, he said, you know, like, I just want to fight, and I'm not going to wait for until the end of the year, and then I'm keeping me busy.
And the UFC likes that. The UFC will understand that, and I'm not saying that he'll skip the queue or anything, because also, he's ranked third. Umar's not ready to go. Merab's beaten Sean O'Malley twice. So process of elimination, Petr Yan is next. So I think that's a really fun fight. Figueiredo, no. Marlon's Fair's Cheeto's a little banged up right now. And then I guess you could do Mario. He's been up.
Fresh Melon Juice says, yeah, imagine pointing to a rainbow to show a child. That's weird now. Yeah. Well, you know what? You know, that's a little bit different, Fresh, because check this out, right? children are innocent, right? So you can tell them whatever it is, and you can tell them exactly what it is, and that is just a rainbow, and a rainbow is a beautiful thing whenever rain happens and then sunshine comes out, and that's how you form rainbows. But anything other than that, yeah, man, I mean, that's really what it is. Marty Miller says, I hate the most about that, about all that, is how they push it to the kids. I agree. They're letting kids at my son's school pick their, oh my goodness, man. Yo, and in Ohio too, you know what? That sounds like something that would happen here in California, but that happening in Ohio is insane to me, Marty Miller. You know what I mean? Like, that's surprising, but I'm sure there are liberal factions in Ohio as well that sort of push that agenda, unfortunately.
On a bit of a run. But
I feel like Mario needs another. Like, Mario doesn't get enough credit.
Fresh Melon Juice says, but they are being told different in daycare. So when you tell your child, look at the rainbow, your child will think you're, yeah. By the way, your is spelled with an apostrophe, so just so you know.
But for some reason, fans just aren't big on him because of some of the stuff in the past. Yeah, and then the UFC don't like him. Not even give him post-fight interviews. I feel bad for the guy. One more win, I think.
Yeah, and
do it for him.
I think if he fought Cejudo next, or he finally got the Cheeto fight, if he pieced those, or if the Figueiredo, or honestly Mario Batista Song Yudong would be kind of a sick fight. Like, both those guys are very heavy-handed. Like, I agree. You get one of those guys out there.
Okay, I'm gonna write it on the comment section below. Okay, I'm gonna write it on the comment section below just so you can when you say you are, teach me Yoda. When you say think, you are. When you say think, yeah, it's like this. There you go. Yeah, I wrote it on the comment section below right there. So yeah, when you're using your in that regard, it's like that. So
Right there. And then, but again, like, Patrick Mix goes out there and chokes someone's out in the next couple months. Like, I bet they could try to slot him into a number one contender fight too.
Yeah, who's Umar going to fight next? I wonder as well.
I think it'll really depend on how, if he's not ready about.
Fresh Melon Juice says, the last one. Yeah, that's right.
Till the end of the year, I think it'll really depend on how the Sandhagen-Merab fight, obviously, and then what happens with this Pereira fight. If Marco V knocks out Pereira, I don't know why you don't do Umar Pereira.
Dude, yeah, I didn't even think of that. And then if Corey Sandhagen wins, that makes things interesting too, because he's got also all sorts of matchups, and people have always wanted this. Like, you could never imagine O'Malley having another title shot, but you imagine if O'Malley can pick up a fight, pick up a quick fight somewhere and get a quick win, he'll be right back in.
I'm not answering that question in the context that you're trying to make it seem like a setup question, but that is how you spell it, Fresh Melon Juice.
Because everyone wants to see Sandhagen and him mix it up.
Such a sick fight.
Piotr Jan will be right in there. It'll be interesting.
I mean, even you got Vinicius Oliveira just got another win a couple days ago in New Orleans. He's probably ranked in the teens right now. I mean, he is a very interesting man. Speaks decent English. Puts out a rap song in Portuguese. Says, I want to fight Sean O'Malley, but Sean O'Malley, if you're listening to this, like, don't take that fight. It wouldn't go good for you. So instead, I should probably fight Umar. I'm like, come on. It's calling out Sean O'Malley and Umar, like, after a big win. Like, you can't hate on it.
People are too lazy to do this, but it saves homeowners a fortune.
All right, before we wrap this one up, this weekend we go Robert Whittaker, RDR. Interesting time in that division too, right? Like Paulo Costa.
All right, so yeah, that is an interesting matchup right there. What's up with Umar? Is he still hurt? No, I don't think he's hurt. I mean, did he have an injury before? Let me know if you've heard of him having an injury before.
He's trying to get his way down to cage side over there, UFC 319. He's got this whole weird Chimaev thing going on. And they've got RDR, Robert Whittaker, RDR telling me, you know.
Okay, a broken hand, yeah. He should be fine. He should be fine. When he goes to his next matchup against Bryce, yeah, he should be fine by then.
If Hamza can't make whatever, I'm ready to go. I'm flying over there if I beat Rob. I'm going to try and get this title shot. Got Imavov and Kaio. They're mixing it up as well. They're trying to get something going in the division. And then don't forget, like, if Sean Strickland picks up another win over Izzy next, I wonder what happens with him too, right? Like, and if DDP's no longer champ, him and Hamzat have, like, heaps of beef too. How are you booking this next contender? Like, if RDR does go out here beating Robert Whittaker in a dominant fashion, can he slot himself into this next shot?
I bet if RDR wins, I bet he could weigh in as a backup. If he comes out, if he does to Robert Whittaker what he did to Bo Nickel, I bet he weighs in as the backup in Chicago. And if anyone is stepping on short notice, he'll probably.
That's good. I like that. I like that. He would be a good backup for Khamzat, Chimaev, and DDP, right? And then possibly take on the winner. So, okay. The problem is Paulo Costa is right there sort of drumming up this beef with him and Khamzat Chimaev, right? And that's just telling you right there that Paulo Costa is trying to cut in line. He's like, RDR, no. You know, back up. I'm going to have next, right? Especially if Khamzat wins, right? Now, if DDP wins, you know, then there's a good chance that, yeah, RDR and DDP go at it next, right? Or if Khamzat loses, then he can just go and fight Paulo Costa as a comeback fight of some sort.
Will he beat him? Meritocracy-wise, you would have to give it to the winner of Carvalho and Imavov because they've been on wins. They've beaten former title champions and former contenders. They've been in.
That's right. So remember this, right? There was Imavov who just knocked out Izzy in Saudi Arabia, right? So, man, you know, 185 is a stacked division. A couple of years ago when Izzy was champion, people didn't think that the 185 division was stacked because Izzy was damn near cleaning out that division until Alex Pereira came in and they had their series back and forth going on. Now, that whole entire division is stacked to the max. So...
main events, co-main events before.
Marie De Bruin, how can Paulo Costa be there? That guy didn't win for almost 3 years. Are they mad? Well, De Bruin, shout out to De Bruin. This is the first time I've seen you in this chat. Please don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm going to address you on that, right? So the meritocracy of the UFC almost doesn't exist. It exists in a way to sort of give you the illusion that there is meritocracy, but at the same time, they ultimately will go with the matchups that have the most compelling storylines. And who has the most compelling storyline right now? It is Khamzat and Paulo Costa. And Paulo Costa is making a big deal out of this whole thing. He's using his manager. He's using his girl on top of prop to create a story of, hey, Khamzat did this. He DM'd such and such, this, that, and the other. And next thing you know, you got a fight where a lot of people are interested with all this TMZ drama that is surrounding Khamzat and Paulo Costa. So I know that sounds outrageous to you, but in reality, the UFC is a business entertainment more than they are an Olympic competitive architectural sport. So I hope that explains it. Fresh Melon Juice says, Ilya on Full Send saying, I have charts of every strike my opponent has ever thrown and where in the UFC octagon they've thrown it. Wow, man. I tell you what, that is a very extensive study on Ilya Topuria, isn't it?
Just something about that fight, like even the winner, like do you think you have to, there's just bigger names out there for the UFC. But then I say that, but if Imavov does to Carvalho what he did to Izzy in his home country and the crowd is going nuts, like, also not for nothing, Dricus does seem like a guy that respects the climb. Like when we were in Australia, he brought up Carvalho and he brought up Imavov. He's like, those guys are out there. Like, Khamzat is next, but these guys keep winning, and all you can do is keep winning. But there's also this rumor that if Khamzat wins, he's going to...
De Bruin says, yeah, that's why Costa is constantly talking about Khamzat telling lies, and all I know is he does that for a reason, but he pulled out against Khamzat that time and doesn't deserve it that easy. You know what? I almost forgot that he did pull out on the Khamzat fight. But at the same time, that right there makes that storyline even more compelling. You see, we wanted to see Khamzat get tested on the way up to his title contention, right? And Paulo Costa might have been the guy to do that, was a former title challenger and was undefeated at one point going to that fight with Israel Adesanya. So it would have been a great test, right? Well, we got robbed of seeing that potential matchup. And as a result, well, now they are in this position right now. You could say that he's not very deserving, but beating Kopylov, I mean, I would say, you know, it's okay. It's okay, but if Khamzat is the one that calls you out after he beats the living hell out of DDP, I mean, that just puts him right in there, right? The entertainment value, and then the champ wants you. Look, it's one thing if the fans want a #1 contender fight, but it's also another thing when the champion wants a fight that is not the #1 contender and a person that is less deserving. So, the Bruin also says, at least he needs a couple of wins, and I understand what you mean, brother, but it's not fear. Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Fresh Melon Juice says Costa had a serious staph infection. That's right. That's why he pulled out of that fight. De Bruin says, yeah, true, bro. Costa's elbow was open. De Bruin, let me know what part of the United States or what part of the world you are from. And thank you for hitting the like button and the subscribe button. And everybody give De Bruin a warm welcome to the chat.
Retire, because he might not be ready to click. His lungs are still kind of wrecked from having COVID and all of these viruses and everything. But again, RDR is going to get through Robert Whittaker, which is very
think about that.
Human Maid says Khamzat will be the new middleweight champion. He will ragdoll DDP and submit him in the first round, rear naked choke or Darce choke. You heard it here first. I agree with your take, man. I agree with your take. In the first round, though, that is so dominatingly what Khamzat does for most fights, right? I don't know why he wasn't able to do that with Gilbert Burns. Obviously, I've said this multiple times. Gilbert Burns fight, he was fasting for Ramadan. And I don't know if I'm sure a lot of people have mentioned this, but every time they say, whoa, how about how he did against Gilbert Burns? Yeah, he was fasting for Ramadan during that fight. And I don't know why people don't take that into consideration, right? Like, fasting does a lot of good things for you, but man, it's one thing to fast for 16 hours and then have coffee here and there or even some water, but you're talking about fast where you have no water and food, and he literally only ate that night of. So, man, yeah, people have to take that into consideration. Fresh Melon Juice says, I think Khamzat had too much respect for his BJJ. I could see that. Okay, so De Bruin says, I'm from the Netherlands. My brother and I'm the Netherlands. I'm my brother, and I'm your brother in faith in Moroccan. Okay, so you are Moroccan from the Netherlands. Okay, shout out to you. I'm sure this is not your real name. I don't know too many Moroccans with that name, unless of course you're half or adopted. But on any regard, Marty Miller says, TJ just said, Sam Caviet said that Khamzat is cruising his training program. I'm excited to see the results of this fight. Guys, I need you to listen to what Brendan Schaub had to say about Khamzat. I'm going to tell you why Khamzat is going to win this fight. And Brendan Schaub, yes, Marouane is my name, is the name. Okay, so Moroccan Tangi is great. Human Maid says, I don't think DDP will land any significant strikes on Khamzat. 0, just like Kevin Holland and Whittaker. I see that fight going the same way, right? And I think people are going to be ultimately shocked at the results of this, right? Because they have this notion that DDP is something that he's not. There's a lot of holes in DDP's game, and it's going to be exposed by Khamzat Chimaev. And ultimately, I think even after this fight, it's going to make DDP a much better fighter because he's going to realize the holes that he has in this game. So Marty Miller says, yes, very possible at Human Made.
Dude,
What do you think
I
about
love
that
that
fight? Because I had Kaio on a couple of weeks ago, and he said that it's just like a stupid fight. It's bullshit that it's being made because he tried to fight Robert Whittaker, apparently. Robert Whittaker's management said this isn't true, came out and responded to it, but he's like, why would a guy that just beat Bo Nickel get a chance to fight Robert Whittaker? But at the same time, like, RDR, he's so experienced, former champion.
Yeah.
He's trained with both DDP and Hamza.
Fresh Melon Juice says DDP is offbeat, difficult for pros to read. Yeah, Marty Miller says, I love how Schaub acted like he wanted to train with Khamzat. Well, you know what? You did see, very unorthodox, Fresh. You did see the latest Brendan Schaub podcast, right? He did mention that, hey, he was down to grapple with Khamzat Chimaev, but he did not want to get in there and get punched by this Chechnyan animal in any kind of way. So,
That too, like, he's very experienced. I feel like, like, it's hard to just get, like, to just say he's not gonna, like, you gotta give him a shot here against Robert Whittaker.
You 100%. Like, he's the only guys he's lost to are Anatoly, who probably would have a real difficult time with the UFC's random anti-doping stuff going on. And let's not forget, Anatoly, one of them was a middleweight, one of them was a light heavyweight. Anatoly's basically a heavyweight who fought Rug, so it's just a totally different thing. Totally different scenario. And you just, like I said before, you have to strike while the iron is hot. Like, Bo Nickel is one of the most talked about fighters on the entire UFC roster. You beat him, you're not just going to throw him into a random fight on a random fight night on, like, the main card.
I agree with that assessment, right? Going into that fight, man, Bo Nickel had a lot of hype. On top of that, he was taunting the Iowa crowd because that was a crowd that was opposite of him during his wrestling days, right? In fact, they were sort of like rivals with Penn State. So he came in there with a lot of hype from his own fan base and a lot of hype from quite frankly, Iowa wrestling fans that were opposite of him during Penn State. And yeah, it was one of those situations where he was red hot in the promotion. Not only that, he had a lot of buzz, and then here comes De Ridder, an unknown double champion from ONE FC, knocking him out with a TKO, with a knee to the body, and next thing you know, you got to put him in there with somebody like Robert Whittaker, right? You got to give him a big name, and I think this is perfect matchmaking on top of that. Fresh Melon Juice says, I think Khamzat can KO DDP with his famous uppercut. That's also a possibility, but you know what? Maybe he doesn't want to try and risk it for the biscuit, and we'll just go and try and, knock him out. I mean, submit him on the ground instead of knocking him out, right? It's less risk averse and what have you, right? Marty Miller says, yeah, I saw it. Schaub never actually wanted to grapple him. He recently faked a quad injury to get out of training with Tim Kennedy. I mean, look, man, Brendan Schaub has had, a lot of injuries during the years, right? I don't doubt that he has any injury. I mean, would you doubt that he has any injury? If so, I mean, why against Tim Kennedy, right? I mean, he would probably do well against Tim Kennedy. I know Tim Kennedy has fought at a high level, but so is Brendan Schaub. But Brendan Schaub is a heavyweight, and, Tim Kennedy is a smaller man. So I don't know. I mean, even with Khamzat, right? He towers over Khamzat. He's way bigger than Khamzat. I'm sure Khamzat could probably beat him in a fight, but, his size alone can help him stay in there, right? I would imagine. But let me know what you think about what I just said there. Marty Miller says he hasn't grappled in 10 years. You know how hard it is to get back into it with top-level black belts after that much time off. It depends. Depends on who you are. It depends on your muscle memory. But I see what you're saying, though. Fresh Melon Juice says the uppercut is there if he fades the takedowns. Okay. Very interesting point. Human Made says, I have no doubt that Khamzat will win this fight, but he just won't be as active. Will hardly defend a belt once every year. A lot of his inactivity and infirm belts. The division will be a mess. Okay, so that's an interesting take by Human Made. He's saying that if Khamzat becomes champion, which I think he will, and I think many of us are pointing to that direction, that perhaps maybe he's just going to defend a belt maybe once or twice, or this and that, and he's not going to be an active champion the way that he was in the early days of UFC Abu Dhabi, where he was fighting almost every week, during the Fight Island days. Marty Miller says he's a pathological liar. You'd have to follow him closer to understand who Schaub really is. You know what, man? I should do a video on Brendan Schaub, right? Because there's a lot of messy things going on in his life right now, right? I often notice this really contentious relationship he has with his co-producer, Chin, right? Chin is a weird guy, just to say the least. I remember Chin had this argument with Brian Callen about, like, well, why do I need to know where this place is or this and that? Basically arguing why he needs to know a certain geographical location, this, that, and the other, right? Schaub has white hair now. Why? Why does he have white hair? He has blonde hair because he's going through a midlife crisis right now, which is indicative of the fact that he moved from Los Angeles to Austin, which I don't know how that's going to help his career, even further. Just because Joe Rogan did it. Joe Rogan is, an entity of his own, right? In fact, it is Joe Rogan that made Texas popular. It wasn't Texas that made Joe Rogan popular. I think if Brendan Schaub stayed in LA, he would have had more connections in the entertainment world, in comedy, and even in podcasting. Marty Miller says because it's a new fashion trend and Schaub is G-A-Y. Rockhold has blonde hair now too. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, I haven't seen Rockhold in a while, but less surprising for Rockhold than it is for Brendan Schaub, although both of those guys are sort of very flamboyant in a way, right? So,
RDR has
what the gay is happening? Yeah, Fresh Melon Juice says.
Never been more talked about. And unfortunately, because he's had a lot of great wins and won, and for a long time we thought he was one of the best fighters outside the UFC. All it took was him beating Bo Nickel to all of a sudden become the topic of conversation. You have to strike while the iron's hot. If RDR goes in there and stops Robert Whittaker, he beats two of the most not just popular, but like Bo Nickel creates headlines, Robert Whittaker creates headlines. You beat both of them, you have to give him either a number one contender fight or a title shot, and I don't think either one is the wrong answer.
Yeah, man, it's good. For the UFC, this is great. You got so many game guys in the division. Just quickly having a look at Rob's record, right? Like, for the longest amount of time, he's the guy that fought the very best guys, even before he was champion. Like, his run to the championship was ridiculous. He started off with Clint Hester, which was actually a pretty tough fight for him.
Yeah, sure.
Thought he was going to lose that. Brad Tavares, he beat that guy, but that's like when Brad Tavares was a bad boy.
Yeah, that's really early in his career, too, when he fought Brad Tavares. That's really surprising how early in his career that was.
Uriah Hall. Even El-Kheer, it was actually a pretty tough matchup at the time that he took it. Derek Brunson, this was like... And Derek actually caught him at the start of this fight, but Derek Brunson was supposed to be the
I remember, wasn't that was when Derek Brunson had X amount of knockouts in a row, and if he had knocked out Robert Whittaker, he would have tied Chuck Liddell. So Derek Brunson basically just ran at Robert Whittaker, and Robert Whittaker kicked him in the face.
Dude, it was one of the loudest experiences I've had because we were there live, and the crowd just went absolutely crazy. Jacare, when Rob beat him as well, was supposed to be the next big thing, and then he had to fight Yoel Romero twice, back to back. After that, he had a couple of health things, but then Izzy. Before this...
Now, that was a bad-ass vodka bottle. What do you mean? It's water, my man. It's water. Stop trying to set me up, man. It's water. Man, he's trying to get me... Fresh Melon Juice is over here trying to get me locked up by the Muslim police. Brother, this is water, brother. This is water. I do not drink. I do not drink, brother. I don't know why you ask these questions. Don't make me bring out Russian newsman, please, okay?
By the way, he won the Ultimate Fighter smashes. Then Darren Till, Jared Canita, Kelvin Gastelum. Then Izzy again in a much closer fight, in a much better performance. Vittori. And then went into the DDP fight. And this is, by the way, this is the problem, right? Like, he started fighting at a very young age, and his body just started falling apart.
Yeah, my homies in a block used to, say that. He's like, man, listen, you better not be eating during Ramadan or we're going to call the Muslim police on you. So yeah, that's kind of where I got that joke from. You know, every Ramadan, yeah, and they used to joke with me about that.
Every single fight, right?
It's the Jordan Mean, Rory McDonald syndrome, where you start fighting at like your first pro fight, you're like 19 or 20. So by the time you're supposed to reach your physical prime, you've already had about a decade worth of weight cuts and fighting.
Well, dude, he's 34 right now. It's actually ridiculous. But DDP, obviously DDP, full credit to him. He beat him, but Rob had a fucked up knee for that one. Paulo Costa, I think he was in pretty decent shape, but even this Ikram fight, remember he was supposed to have like an emergency dental procedure, like he had to, and then Hamza, there was this other dental thing where he had the teeth, right? And the teeth were already cooked before then. And again, full credit to Hamza for that one. But if you go back and you have a look at Rob's teeth down the bottom there, you could tell like he had a tooth missing and they were kind of banged up. So it's not like Rob to get anything fixed. But anyway, 34 here. I feel like for Robert Whittaker, this is a must win. He wants to get another title shot. He's looking at retirement of 4 or 5 fights.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, I don't know. Like, what kind of Robert Whittaker will we get here? I don't know. This is not Robert Whittaker. What does that look like?
I mean, the Robert Whittakers that fought Yoel Romero and Izzy and Kelvin and Jared and everything, like, that's one of the best middleweights in the world. Like, he can beat anyone. Like, he was very close to beating Izzy that second time. I was right there. And that was about as net. That could have been 5-0 Izzy, but every round was razor thin. That was the closest unanimous decision you can get. Dricus fucked up knee. Hamzat is Hamzat. If he got out of the first round, it would have been an interesting story. If the Robert Whittaker that showed up against Paolo and Marvin shows up, I think it's gonna be a tough night for RDR. RDR is very good, but RDR also seemed to have a bit of an issue for a while with Gerald Meerschaert. And Robert Whittaker is, I love you, Gerald. If you watch this, I love you. You've always been nice to me. Robert Whittaker is very good at MMA. Very good at fist fighting. So it's going to be, and RDR is also 34, and he's fought in a bunch of different weight classes too. So, great fight.
And I told RDR, I go, what do you think about the first round? Because Rob is susceptible in the first round, right? Like, he always runs at people, and he always, like, gets caught, and then he, like... That's
true, right? There is a high susceptibility for Robert Whittaker in the first round, which, by the way, comes out sort of, took advantage of.
Like, he'll slow things down and come back. But lately, he hasn't been able to. And he's just going like, I don't know if it's the first round, but I want to test his grappling. I want to do this. I want to do that. I was like, dude, Rob's not a bad grappler. Like,
no, he's not.
Hope you're coming in with the right game plan.
And I'm glad we finally have, like, a very elite grappler at the top of, not like a wrestler. Like, Joel was a wrestler. Dricus can wrestle. Hamzat can wrestle. But, like, there's the difference between, like, pressure, violent wrestling and just, like, slick jiu-jitsu. And I'm very glad we have, like, a very high-level jiu-jitsu person at the top of the middleweight division right now.
Can I just say as well, if Rob wins and Sean wins, I don't know how it lines up, but I'd love to see those guys fight each other before it's all said and done. Don't you think? Like, isn't that a fun fight right there? 5 rounds.
5 rounds. Like,
somewhere.
very slick striking. Very slick boxing, very slick striking. Sean Strickland obviously has his hearing with the Nevada Athletic Commission coming up because he fought that dude after his teammate. He might get a little bit of a suspension, but yeah, if at some point I need to see that fight. At some point I need to see that. If it wasn't going to be Izzy, I wanted Robert Whittaker.
So Marty Miller asks a very interesting question. But first, Fresh Mellinger says, is Robert Whittaker's face 100% or is it easy to break again? Well, we're going to find out, right? I think this matchup is going to find out. Now, to answer Marty Miller's question, how do you feel about Bear on the Jackson pod, Fresh? How do I feel about Bear on the Jackson pod, Fresh? Oh, okay, he's asking Fresh Melon Juice. Well, I'll answer that, man. Yeah, he's not... Man, listen, I think he's a shill for Israel. That's what I think, right? Look, I don't agree with what Bryce Mitchell said, but the way that he tried to verbally undress, Bryce Mitchell was like, okay, well, listen, man, you're going to come in here, you're going to sit down, you're not going to say anything, you're just going to sit there and shut up, and you're just going to be okay with us telling you to sit down and shut up because you said something that got you canceled. Yeah, I mean, I can't stand the man as well, man. I think it was just his teeth that got pushed in. He should be okay. Marty Miller says, I can't stand it, man. If it wasn't for Rampage, I couldn't watch it. Man, that's what I'm saying, man. Get rid of Bear and make TJ Dillashaw the co-host. I mean, for crying out loud, TJ Dillashaw and Rampage are such a good podcast combination together. This Bear guy is just... Oh, man. Listen, he's insufferable for sure.
Gonna fight Strickland because Strickland's called Robert Whittaker a can. There's heat there. He's already won in Australia a few times. Stick it in Vegas, stick it in Vancouver, stick it wherever you want. But yeah.
Look for an ATM from our bank, or we'll have to pay a small fortune in fees.
BMO has more fee-free ATMs than the two largest U.S. banks combined.
That fight needs to happen.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Just on that Sean Strickland thing, he actually messaged me after it happened, and he said, this guy walked in the cage and told me, he said, suck my dick, you bitch, I'll fuck you up. Apparently that's not...
Okay, so Fresh Melon Juice says, yeah, the Bear guy is the one who runs things, right? The money, yeah, insufferable, LOL, couldn't have put it better myself. Yeah, he really is, man, he really is an insufferable type of character, isn't he? You know, I mean, he's, yeah, Fresh. Human Maid says, do you think Khamzat versus DDP pay-per-view is stacked, or is it only a top-heavy card like most of these boxing cards? So let's take a look at this particular card, okay? 319. This is UFC 319. Let's check it out. So, okay, Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates. Yeah, not very stacked. Jared Cannonier versus Michael Venom Page. And then Tim Elliott versus Kai Asukara. Okay, that's not a bad flyweight fight. You know what? It's a hardcore fans fight, right? Jared Cannonier versus Michael Venom Page. That's a hardcore fans fight. Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates as a co-main event. That's great for a fight night in and of itself in an Apex card. But as a co-main event, you know, and then you got King Green taking on Carlos Diego Ferreira. Man, Bobby Green's still in there. Gerald Mershad taking on Michael Olenchuk. Jessica Andrade taking on Gudinez. Chase Hooper taking on Alexander Hernandez. Jakar Close taking on Edson Barbosa. Man, really low on the card is Edson Barbosa, right? This was a guy that has fought Khabib, that has had that, you know, spinning heel kick knockout highlight for the ages. Then you got Brian Battle taking on Nursulon. And then Karen Silva taking on JJ Aldridge. Okay, not a bad... Yeah, I agree with what you mean when you say it's like a top-heavy boxing card. Yeah, the Bryce thing was really bad. Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like it because he wanted to make a point that he can bully Bryce based on just what he said. And it's almost like, in a way, kicking a man while he's down, right? And look, I'm going to be honest with you, right? Like, did Bryce even say anything that was so reprehensible in any kind of way? He just said that he's willing to go fish with a certain historical figure that was a former Austrian painter. Okay, just put that in perspective. The Bear dude is okay in very small doses. It gets old very fast. Well, I tell you what, man, I think that if it wasn't for the Bryce Mitchell thing, he would be a very insignificant thought in my mind, right? Like, he's a co-host, he's there. He's not anybody that I think about. Like, for example, the Brendan Schaub podcast, you don't really think about Chin unless, of course, Chin gets him into an argument with Brian Callen, or if Chin gets him into an argument with Brendan Schaub himself, right? But other than that, Brendan Schaub's show is the Brendan Schaub show, and you don't really think about Chin unless he's being brought up in a very significant way. Bear brought up himself in a very significant way, in ways that I did not want him to be significant at all, and that was during the Bryce Mitchell interview. What he should have done was sat down, try to pick the brain of Bryce Mitchell and ask him, well, why do you think this way? What he did was he wanted to condemn Bryce Mitchell in front of everybody just so he can virtue signal himself into a hero. That's really what it is. Human Maid says, I believe Aaron Pico versus Mobzar was the co-main event, but someone got injured. Yeah, I believe it was Mobzar that got injured on that one. So Marty Miller says, I don't think he did. People just love to puke on with that kind of stuff. Fresh Melon Juice says, Bryce said what everyone is saying now without any problem. Elaborate on that, Fresh Melon Juice. What do you mean that Bryce said what everyone is saying? What is everyone saying in relationship to what Bryce Mitchell has made those controversial comments about? Let me know on the comment section below, my man.
That's what Strickland said. He shot me a DM. He shot me a DM after it happened. And anyway, write some other stuff in there that I'm not going to repeat. But
Yeah,
that's a crazy thing to say to Sean Strickland. I'll tell you that much. I mean, the guy's a good.
Okay, so Marty Miller says, yeah, because he thought he was going to be celebrated for the virtue signaling, but it backfired. Pylon for my last comment. Oh, okay, yeah. So did he get... was there any pushback on Bear on that one? I mean, I know guys like me, were against Bear after that. I know you guys are against Bear after that. Was there any, like, heavy backlash that was significant towards Bear or any type of, like, hate that Bear got out of that scolding that he did? Fresh Melon Juice says, you can have an opinion today about a topic without getting canceled. Okay, that is true. That is true. Because, look, here's the thing, right? In the 90s, you had just television and radio. And television and radio was very much highly formatted. Now you go into the world of podcasting and long-form, discussions. There's nuances to it, right? Well, okay, you know what? I don't like this guy, but I like that he did this. Okay, and then you elaborate for 20 minutes. That's podcasting. In the TV world, it's segmented. It's sort of like, all right, well, here's the main topics today. Good, bad this, bad, bad that. Good, bad this, bad, bad that. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Commercial coming up. And the next thing you know, all right, and we're back. Good, good, bad, 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 good. Good, good, bad, 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 good. Black, white, no gray lines. You understand? Whereas podcasting sounds like this. Gray lines, gray lines, gray lines. Nuances, nuances, nuances. His view is this, my view is that, but I see where he agrees with this, and I don't understand why he agrees with that and why he doesn't agree with me on this. Let's discuss this. 20 minutes, 40 minutes, 60 minutes, 80 minutes, 3 hours. That's podcasting for you. But with television, it's extremely formatted. And so that is not the world that people were used to. They're used to, and even now you have short clips. So now they're going to paint a picture of you within this box of this small moment of time of you saying what you're saying. So try to put that in perspective, right there. You can have an opinion today about that topic without getting canceled. So yeah, Marty Miller says, oh yeah, the comment section lit him up. So he took down the episode the next day. Wow. So they took down the Bryce Mitchell episode. And then you're going to try to make an excuse, well, because Bryce Mitchell is such a controversial guy that we had to take it down. No, bitch, they took it down because you ruined it. You know what I mean? Bear, you ruined it. And Rampage wasn't even on that type of energy. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't even on that type of energy. And yet you are. And it's his podcast. And then, I mean, look, man, it's virtue signaling for Bear. He's annoying. And to me, he looks like an Israeli soldier. And it pisses me off even more, looking at him. But, yeah, cancel culture. Yeah, all his viewers told him. Human Made says 100%. Yeah, they took down the Bryce episode. Facts. I'm sure you could find the Bryce episode somewhere, right? As a matter of fact, let me see if I could find that lost episode, because somebody for sure uploaded it. Mitchell, Rampage. Okay, let's see if there is a... Oh, wow, okay. Look at this. They have the and you know what? Look at this. Look at this. Look at the channel's name. The channel's name is No Name. This is awesome. All right, listen. We're going to react to this. Yeah, Rampage called him out. Yeah, we're going to react to this. And you know what? We could play this for as long as we want because, obviously, this is no longer Rampage Jackson's podcast because he took it down. So, yeah, it's not licensed in any way. So, all right, we'll play this after this one real quick.
As well? As a cop, yeah. Anyway, and shout out to Mike Heck, who got an interview with him right after. And to his credit, the guy was like, I don't want Sean Strickland to be suspended or fined. Like, let's just move on. So good on you.
And to his credit, I think he's like, hey, this is my opportunity, but let's not. He's like, the guy's cool and all this kind of stuff.
For sure.
All right, for those who are Submission Radio members, you guys can...
All right, so you know what? We're going to react to the Bryce Mitchell podcast right now. Bonus episode. Because I found this and you guys are so compelled to want to talk about this. We're going to talk about, the Lost Bryce Mitchell podcast episode. And we're going to put that on the description down below. So, all right, let's start off right here. Okay. Awesome. Great show today. I appreciate you in the chat. Helps me get through the day. Man, shout out to Marty Miller, my man. You know, that's what we're all about here is, helping people get through their day at work. So, okay, plus more. So this is what I'm going to do. 2 hours and 40 minutes. 2 hours. All right, so here we are. The lost episode of Bryce Mitchell in the Rampage podcast. Let's get to it right now.
Really, like, think about what. All right. Now, my first time meeting you, and we from the same area. All right. And I gotta ask you, what the fuck is wrong with you, brother? We gotta talk about this. Right. You know, I've been known to say some fucked up shit in my life. And shit I don't mean. I'm a comedian. I like to joke around and stuff like that. But
all right, so Rampage says, you know, I'm a comedian. I like to joke around and say stuff like that. But, man, listen, do you realize Rampage has probably said some worse things behind the scenes? Do you imagine, like, I'm not saying Rampage has said any of this, right? This is all alleged, and this is all just my own speculation. I've never met Rampage. I never trained with Rampage. I'm just saying that, can you imagine all the anti-white jokes that Rampage has probably said behind the scenes? Can you guys imagine that, right? He's probably done those things. Let's just be honest about it, okay? Let's just be honest about it. And look at the title, Bear being an obnoxious diva. Oh, I love that title. I love that title right there, Bear being an obnoxious diva. All right, let's continue on.
You know, you're a fighter, I'm a fighter. And we're used to being able to say whatever the fuck we want and stuff like that. But sometimes we just gotta like really like think about what we say and then think if we should let that shit get out there. And I've heard since I've heard all this stuff, I've heard some stuff about you and a lot of people say like you know, they really like listen to your stuff like with the Bible and the flat earth and stuff like that. I'm very interested in that type of stuff. You know, I'm born again guy. You know, I'm not religious anymore, and I believe the earth is flat and stuff like that. I do. I believe the earth is the way God.
So Rampage is sort of setting this up as a way we're like, hey man, you know what? I'm like you too. I'm a little weird. I'm a little bit, you know, uncanny. I believe that the earth is flat as well. You know, oh, well, I'm, you know, a Christian, you know, as well, but, you know, I'm not really practicing, even though you're really hardcore into it. He's sort of prefacing this as a way of, like, trying to soften him up, right? And then, I don't know if he anticipated that Bear was going to be an obnoxious diva in this particular segment, but yeah, let's go on with this.
I made and stuff like that, so I was more interested in talking to you about this. I was very excited about that. But I'm not excited about the stuff that I hear is going viral.
Right, and first off, thank y'all for having me here today. I can tell you're not happy with me just because of your tone. I've watched you since I was a kid. Right?
Yeah, look, you can tell by your tone that you're not happy with me. No, listen, Rampage honestly is laughing inside his head right now, okay? He is not unhappy with you. In fact, he's very much happy that you're there, because this could have been one of the biggest podcast episodes that he had made, considering that, you know, at the time, listen, you know, this was a very controversial topic 5 months ago. And yeah, Marty Miller says they did this because they already had Bryce scheduled to come on the show right after Bryce said all that stuff. Oh, okay. So they already had him scheduled beforehand. Okay. So they were trying to get ahead of the backlash for having him on. Okay. But it completely backfired because the beat went over the top, because Bear went over the top, right?
Rampage, I know I've never seen you that serious before. You know, it's really unfortunate that this is the first time that we meet, but also...
Hey, check out Bryce Mitchell's shirt, okay? Look at this. It says Christian nationalist, and it's a picture, well, what is supposedly, allegedly, you know, Jesus, peace be upon him, with, I believe, rifles and an American flag behind him. I mean, just, you know, straight stereotypical Christian nationalist stuff on Bryce.
So God has a plan. And I want to spend a very brief amount of time talking about what I've said because of this.
He says, I completely agree with what you said earlier. I don't think he even said anything that bad. Yeah, the only thing that he said bad was that he mentioned a historical figure that was very unpopular, right? This is like very similar to if you said, hey, listen, if I want to hang out with Andrew Tate, or if I like Donald Trump before he was president or something like that, right? Like, it's just one of those cancelable type of names that you bring up, right? At any context whatsoever.
Severity of it. I wish I didn't have to talk about it at all, but I feel like the severity of it, being this is the first time I've shown my face since I said it, I do want to talk about it. First things first, I said word for word, I do not support, I am not a Nazi. I said it word for word.
There it is. He said he is not a Nazi. Okay, so Marty Miller says, yeah, but who even knows the truth about all that? We know most of what we've been told is a lie. You know what? Yeah, that is true, right? Well, put it like this, right? As an Arab man, okay, you guys know who were the allies for the other side, right? And, well, okay, I think you can kind of figure out what I'm trying to say there.
You can go back and watch it, and...
people just clipped up some of the stuff.
I said was a good guy, and then I said, after that, I said before he committed all the atrocities. But they didn't play the whole podcast, okay? So
that's important to bring up. He said that he was a good guy before all that. Did you know that Charles Manson was a good musician before he went to prison, right? I mean, is that really a bad thing to say? Maybe you might offend people who were victims of Charles Manson for you to say that, but yeah.
I did. He was a good guy, but I was saying before he committed all the atrocities.
Brother, you don't know him, right? You don't know the severity of what he did to the world.
And then here comes Bear. Yeah, but brother, you don't know him. You don't know the severity of what he did to the world, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to virtue signal, and I'm going to make you feel bad about it, and I'm going to make myself feel superior because I've never been in a fight and I've never fought before, and so I'm going to try and bully a fighter, a UFC fighter, in front of everybody in the world because he said that somebody was his friend or somebody was a good guy. Yeah. Bear. I'm Bear, the co-host of Jackson Podcast. Man, fuck out of here, Chas.
Well, obviously, I could tell you don't know for you to be able to even relaxedly say that word, that he was a good guy. And I'm not even going to give him the benefit of saying his name. But those extremist ideologies, the things he did to, you know, millions of people are some of the most disgusting, most evil things the world ever seen. Now, we're not going to give you a platform today to talk about anything.
For sure, he can, but if he did, you know, then it would absolutely look bad on his behalf, right? Because then now it would look like a hate crime if Bryce was to go after him. I mean, think about that, right? Yo, Bryce would absolutely get charged with a hate crime on top of an assault charge if he just started swinging at Bear or started putting him in, you know, in a front lock choke of some sort, right? Like, it would absolutely, give him some hate crime charges. Makes me sick even hearing him say this all over again. Great views, though. Yeah.
That even remotely supports that.
No,
we're not going to give you a platform.
No, I don't want
to justify what you said. And matter of fact, and me and Rampage talked about this.
So this is where it's a problem right here, right? He's like, well, I'm not going to give you a platform, to discuss anything that you said here. So what do you want him to do? You just want him to sit there and then listen to you condemn him for, a whole hour of this podcast. I mean, come on, man. Caesar salad, plus 10-piece chicken nuggets for lunch. Oh, okay. 10-piece chicken nuggets for lunch, like 3-piece and a soda type of thing. Gotcha. Okay.
We're not even going to give you a platform to explain yourself on that. I personally just feel with the things that he did. And
well, good. I'm glad that you said that, because you said, I personally just feel. Well, you personally just feel, but why don't you hear what Bryce Mitchell had to say? He's not justifying this guy in any way. You know what I mean? There's no justification in this. So, nuggets or real chicken. I like both. Why not?
The millions of people that died, there's no justification pre or post whatever you did say. It ain't nobody a good guy. And we as people, and he as a fan of MMA, right? As a fighter, I watch all your fights, right? You bring the Bible in the cage. You did some amazing things before that podcast. Rampage is an icon to me. I look up to Rampage. So when Rampage gets serious, even when he said, listen, man, I got a full-time Jewish chef. And Rampage, the only reason why he was accepting of
what is Rampage's chef's religious affiliation have anything to do with that, right? Why does he have to preface that? Well, Rampage, he's got a Jewish chef. I don't have a Jewish chef, but I look Jewish and I don't know how to cook I don't know, man. Weird stuff.
Even doing this podcast, we already had.
Yeah, listening to this sucks. Well, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I never heard this, right? I only heard the clips of Bear doing this. So this is my first time watching this. I don't know if I'm going to go through the whole full length of this. I will put the description down below, to sort of preface this if you guys want to see the rest of the video for this. But yeah.
Pre-booked you.
Bear looks up to everyone. He's 5'2". That's a good one. I just had a protein shake, but I'm making some smash burgers for dinner. Oh, okay. Sounds good, man. Sounds really good.
Before that show, and we've been trying to get you on for about a year, right? Mm-hmm. And so Rampage said, I want to be able to see him face to face and explain to him the severity of what he did. Right. So at least if you didn't, you do understand what you did damages people's relationships with their family over arguments, damages society, wasting time on things they shouldn't be talking about. We should be coming together as a world, but we should never justify the persecution and the extremism that we've seen in the past from that man or any.
Fresh Melon, who says, can you get kidney stones from protein shake? I don't know. I don't know how that works, man. Let me know. If you have any particular, science or, some sort of backing to, answer that.
Sort of that nature, right?
So right, I totally agree, brother. Yeah. And that's why I wanted to say, I literally said in my podcast, I don't support.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Nazi. And I said that, and I'm glad that you got to let me repeat that.
Now, look, I want to be fair about this, right? Because, yes, I have my own emotions. I have my own opinion on things, but I also want to be fair and objective, right? Now, Bear said something here that I think was really profound and really interesting. He said that you're breaking up families by creating debates that we don't need to have debates about. Well, the question is, do we really need to have a debate on whether he was a good guy or a bad guy, considering how the world is right now and considering how certain people run the world and how things are managed and how things come about for certain people in different parts of the world? I mean, that's for your own question to ask, but I thought that it's interesting that Bear brought that up because he does have a good point, right? There are some things that are wasteful conversations to have. Now, obviously, this conversation right here, it's not wasteful because You know, obviously it's helping me get views, but at the same time, it's helping me get an audience. But also, it's helping some people that are watching this at work or they're traveling to pass by time. But as far as overall conversation on what are the important things, maybe he's right. Maybe there is some validity to the fact that this could be a useless argument to a certain degree. Marty Miller says, I think there's potential for it if you overdo it, but it would have to be a lot. I've eaten upwards of 300 grams a day with no issues. Okay. Marty Miller says, I was laughing at you saying, this sucks, LOL. Okay.
How long have you had that podcast?
That was my first episode. And here's the thing, guys, is, you know, before he did all of that stuff.
Fresh Melon Juice says, Grok, consuming protein powder daily, particularly in excess amounts, may contribute to kidney stone formation in some individuals, but the risk depends on several factors. Okay, very interesting take.
Is what I was talking about, guys.
Yeah, we
understand. Listen,
I'm not denying anybody's suffering. Like, I'm literally not denying anybody's suffering.
We understand. You do know millions of people, over 5 million people died because of him.
A lot of people.
One of the deadliest wars of all time, World War II. Probably over 50 million people, 3 to 5% of the population died.
War, yeah.
Yeah. So you are aware that even trying to justify that, you got to move past that, brother. Right?
No. Listen, listen. We understand. We understand it's your first podcast and stuff like that, and what you got to understand about this business right here. You got to be careful what you say, because people will take it out of context and they will clip it. You know.
That's what I believe happened, but yeah.
I'm going to tell you guys something. You know what this reminds me of, right? You know, I mean, I used to say crazy stuff online too, right? I mean, like, I'm talking about social media-wise, right? So, you know, I had to sit down with a few homies. They told me, like, listen, bro, you can't be saying these things. I know you feel this way about such and such, but you can't say these things. I remember this vividly in terms of, like, understanding that I had the same similar sit down and undress with certain people about saying certain things. Fresh Melon Juice says, 2018 study in urology noted that high dietary protein can increase urinary calcium and uric acid, but hydration and balanced diet mitigates this. Okay, so very interesting. So eat a lot of protein, but also have a lot of hydration as well. Well noted. Thank you. Marty Miller says, no one gets butt hurt if you talk about Genghis Khan. Yeah, man. That is true, right? You know, or how about King Leopard, right? The European king that killed many Africans, right? So you can talk about Genghis Khan, you can talk about King Leopard, but God forbid you talk about somebody from the 1940s. Yeah. Marty Miller says, yeah, I was going to say you should be drinking a lot of water. That's true.
You know, I shouldn't have said it in the first place.
You shouldn't say
you should have said it in the first place. And there's other things you said in that clip, and I'm not here to twist the knife. I mean, you did it to yourself. I'm just here to tell you, even the other things you did, you have to do the education and understand the severity of you as an athlete and someone who the MMA community put you on a pedestal because of the performance and what you did for the sport as a fighter. You have a voice. Yeah. And if you don't use that voice for good, not all free speech needs to be said. You know what I mean? Like, I believe in free speech, but I believe in free speech that does good for the community. And just having free speech to say idiotic things and damaging communities of our country and damaging people and damaging religions is not always needed.
I've seen you on TikTok and stuff and on a lot of podcasts, and you speaking out about, you know, saying about her. I don't really speak out about it as much. If somebody asks me, I tell them my opinion and stuff on it. That's why I was, like I said before.
Fresh Melon Juice says, you have to be able to question history, even ask stupid questions. That's what it seems like, right? You know, but for whatever reason, Bear is over here saying, well, you know, I believe in freedom of speech, yada, yada, this, that, and the other. But I don't know, man. You know, I don't know how much he really believes in freedom of speech if he is condemning Bryce Mitchell. And then on top of that, he's preventing Bryce Mitchell from, you know, saying anything. So, all right, with that in mind, guys, I think this is all that I have for this one. I would love to go a little bit longer with this one, but you know how it is. You know, you got things to do. We got things to do. This has been a good one. I'm going to hit the link. I'm going to give you guys a link to this particular podcast right here. Fresh Melon Juice What? I'm an idiot. He believes in freedom of speech. That is good. Yeah, he doesn't believe in freedom of speech, obviously, right? Fresh Melon Juice says protein shakes with milkshake is a milkshake. It's so good it can't be good. Yeah, okay. Very interesting take. Okay, so if you guys want to see the rest of this full podcast, I'm going to put it right here. Okay. All right, so full podcast link will be right here. Here we go. And also, don't forget to hit the like button on this right here, right? This guy's name is No Name. He only has 8 subscribers and has this, so I'm going to be the 50th person to like this right here. And with that in mind, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for all my new subscribers out there. Before I go, I want to send a shout outs to, first and foremost, Marty Miller, my top moderator, Fresh Melon Juice. Shout outs to you. Shout outs to the Moroccan D. Bruin. Shout outs to Human Made. Shout outs to who else was in this chat right here? Yeah. De Bruin, shout outs to De Bruin, shout outs to F15, shout outs to Michael Fitch Bomber, shout outs to Juice Man 562 Long Beach in the house, shout out to F15, shout outs to the Punisher from the UAE, shout outs to Drizzy Goat, shout outs to the Russian whose name I can't pronounce. Also, Tekken. Shoutouts to Tekken, and shoutouts to everyone around the world. So I hope you guys have a good one. Thank you so much. Have a great day, Fresh. Bye, guys. You have a good one. You, Mill, thanks. Shoutouts to all you guys, and I'll be back with the next one. Check out my new videos that I have. The videos of reacting to the latest fights that are going on right now, a 2-minute video. Be sure to give that one a check out. Also, a new video that I have of Daniel Dubois. Did he quit or was it self-preservation? Is Usyk the GOAT? Also, UFC 318 recap, Pacquiao versus Barrios, so on and so forth. I will see you guys in the next one.